Hello, everyone. I am Zazubaar, and welcome to this week's episode of the Sons of Serizawa podcast. Joining me, as always, I have Dillion McCandless, aka Super DM64,
Yo, what up?
and Andres Perez, aka Kaiju Noir.
Hello, people of the internet.
I'm sure that all of you were surprised that David is not here, and if you are, that's your fucking fault. Because does anybody even expect him to be here at this point? Does anybody ever see a new episode of SOS and go, "Oh boy, I bet David's on this one"? And
Yeah,
then
no. Like
they're-
earlier,
they're-
earlier Bill texted me and he was like, "Hey, me and David want to talk about X," and I was like, "Well, that's not gonna happen. Why are you even planning for that?"
When did I text you that?
It's
When I
only gonna
told you
lead.
when I told you what my idea was for the second topic, that is now the only topic, and you were like, "Oh, well, me and David want to talk about blah, and we can use that as a segue," and I was like, "Well, we're not gonna have that segue."
Right.
Yeah, like trying to have any sort of expectations for David's performance is like having expectations for Kenji and Afune on Mighty Number 9. You know it's gonna end in disappointment.
I should have known that was the trend that I'd have to remember.
Trying to count on Gorzor to make a
David.
podcast. Trying to count on Gorzor to make a podcast is like trying to count on lightning as a crucial element of your regeneration experiments. Wait a minute.
I have to rethink my entire plan for G-Fest now.
That seems like a plot hole. But
But David is not here. As again, I'm sure you're all terribly surprised. He'll hopefully be back for the season finale on the next episode, which will be our next episode, in case you were wondering. But this week, since we missed the last one, we haven't done this in a month, and it feels that way. We figured that doing a news catch-up would certainly be something that we'd be what's the word? Something that we'd like to do. We'd be about it. Why am I trying to make it all fancy and shit?
Were you looking for the word remiss? We would be remiss not to do so.
Yeah, I think that's what I was looking for, but I'm way too tired. So, by the way, I'm tired too, so that's why I'm a bit like kind of low key, more low key than I usually am, because I just worked an 8-hour shift and then I came back and I was like, oh, I have to do a podcast now. Yay! I'm excited. I'm happy to be here. I'm definitely not tired and want to go to bed. So it's the general news update with Andres Perez, which is not what the show's called anymore, actually. It's called Shit You May or May Not Care About with Andres Perez. Andres, what shit may or may we not care about this week?
If anybody ever actually does care, leave it in a comment. I'd love to know, because I feel like
right now the answer
it
is
helps
pretty
validate
clear.
my existence.
Yeah,
I feel like
and
the name
Andres
of the-
could use that.
As a lowly Mexican living in Japan.
I feel like this. I feel like the name of this segment is kind of a misnomer, unless there's somebody out there who's like, "Oh yeah, I do care about the news." I'd be like, "Oh, why don't you just watch CNN? They do it better." But whatever.
We all can't be professionals, Dylan.
We put it in the title. You know, we're just like may or may not care about. So you may care or you may not. We don't know. We don't judge.
You may.
Mostly.
It's a very it's a very uncertain title, you know, which I think also reflects us. We're very uncertain of ourselves,
uncertain of our futures, uncertain of our lives,
uncertain of our pasts, even
uncertain of our presence.
Okay. Danger.
Yes. Okay. So, anyways, the first thing I wanted to bring up was, since I alluded to it just a while ago about the release or the shit show that was Mighty Number 9's release, which occurred on June 21st, after having been delayed like 4 times. Like first it was like spring 2015, then delayed to September 2015, then February 2016, then spring 2016, and then finally June 21st. And the overall response towards the actual game Mighty Number 9 has been and where it's like it's not going to blow your socks off. It's actually quite disappointing for people who have actually been big fans of the Mega Man genre, Mega Man franchise. And what's even more
I've seen the most really angry response from you so far, though. Has anybody else been as upset as you are?
Definitely. If you go to a certain channel called Gigaboots on YouTube, they've been covering the story of Mighty Number 9 and how all the very what you call it, sleazy or very shady things that the company and Keiji Inafune has been doing in terms of like running their company and mismanaging it and focusing more on making Mighty Number 9 into a franchise as opposed to focusing on the actual game itself, or like having Kickstarters for other games before they release the first game. Um,
That was the thing where I was like, hey guys, listen, let's get one right first, and then we can worry about getting the funds for the other one.
yeah,
If you're
and then
trying
like
to start a franchise,
Let's get the first scam right. You know what I mean?
if you're trying to start a franchise, I don't know why you would start with a video game. Like when a video game becomes a franchise, it almost feels like a happy accident. Like a much easier way to start a franchise would be like make a show and then you don't have to worry about like having engaging gameplay. You just have to worry about telling a story. Because when you start out with a video game, if you're wanting it to be a franchise, then you have to start adapting it into other mediums, and that's historically not very successful when it comes to video games.
I mean, it could be an
that's why
exclusively video game franchise, though.
I guess that's why they
right?
try to do
No,
it
but I mean,
all
what
at
I
the
mean
same
is
time.
he wanted it to be like this big, you know what I mean? He wanted it to be like Star Wars. He wanted it to be like movies and TV shows and video games and all this shit.
Cross-platform,
Yeah, a
cross-platform,
cross-platform,
cross-media.
cross-medium
I
franchise.
see. I
I'm
didn't
like,
know that actually.
if you're trying to do that, like if you're trying to make a series of video games and have that be a franchise, great, whatever. If you're trying to do what he was trying to do, I don't know why you would start with video game, because that seems like the hardest thing to start with if you're going to be doing that. I think it
I
would
guess
be much easier to
because
do like a cartoon
it's
or
only
something.
it's only due to his experience with video games, having been someone who is allegedly the co-creator of Mega Man. Like that's
Allegedly.
allegedly, yeah, because he's the
Interesting.
he's the
And
dude.
I mean,
He
maybe
never.
maybe he thought it would work because it happened with Mega Man. I mean, I remember there were Mega Man cartoons when I was
Mhm.
a young warthog, and
I had a toy when I was a kid. He was a red Mega Man, and I
Oh,
used to
Proto
like.
Man.
Oh, okay. I used
Did,
to make. I didn't know who he
did he
was.
have like
I used to have
a yellow scarf with like black sun?
Yeah.
That's Proto Man.
Yes,
I used
and
to
he
have
had a.
two. I used to have two toys. One of them was one of the Mega Men, and then the other one it was a blue one. I just don't know what version of the character it was because there have been so
Mhm.
different ones. And then
Mhm.
there was, I guess it was a bad guy. It was some sort of purple thing.
Ooh, maybe
Uh,
that's Vile. Did he look like Boba Fett?
Kinda. Let me look up a picture and see. Or did you
Let's
just?
see. So that I just
Somebody put something in the chat.
that's a picture of Proto Man.
Okay, he actually didn't have the sunglasses.
Hmm.
I remember him having the scarf.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was him. He didn't have a gray suit. He was completely. He had like an armored look, like a completely armored look.
Maybe it's like a different. Maybe it was based off of like the American animated series.
That's probably what it was.
Yeah, this is the guy I had. Looks like a purple Boba Fett.
Yeah, yeah. Just send a picture on Skype right now of Vile.
Boba the Fett.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so when people were trying, the funny thing was like when the original Kickstarter occurred back in 2013, people who pledged money towards the game were promised to have the game like a week before its actual release. Turns out that wasn't the case. Like people like who got review copies got it before the backers. Backers probably got it around the same time as people got their it was in stores. And the people who pledged enough money were promised to have like DLC codes to get certain shit. And so, but instead, they were given like the wrong DLC codes, or were given two of the same DLC codes, or were given invalid DLC codes.
Invalid, really?
Yeah, yeah. So it's like if you got like an email with like one code is to download the game and two more codes, which for two different DLCs, there's a good chance that none of them could work. Or rather, it's like you would get one DLC code for the game and another one for the game. So maybe you'll be getting two of the same codes, or maybe two of the same DLC codes.
It almost seems like at this point they're just trying to make it seem like this weird shady scam. Like they're almost trying to like derail this franchise and create like the ultimate like video game Kickstarter con. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like whenever I hear a story like this where it's like, oh, there's this big scandal around, the entertainment industry and money or any kind of scandal,
Mm-hmm.
like it goes like if they go for so long and so many things go wrong,
Mm-hmm.
at a certain point I always just go, it almost seems like they're doing it on purpose just for attention.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like would anybody be talking about this if this I'm sorry, I dropped my phone. Would anybody be talking about this if this game was any good,
I think so
Or
because like the Mega Man series, it's quite possibly one of the most popular or most iconic of all the old school series. even people who are not video game players have probably heard of Mega Man. And it's been kind of like a running joke within the video game community that Capcom doesn't care about Mega Man, their own mascot, anymore, considering we haven't had a new Mega Man game since Mega Man 10 on the PlayStation Network back in 2010 or 2009.
Damn, it's been that long, and that character is crazy popular.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't there handheld games now?
No, not really. That was like, again, like on the Nintendo DS, there was Mega Man Battle Network, Mega Man Star Force, but all of that like ended like also again back in 2009, 2010.
Sucks.
Yeah.
What we needed
There
was
is plans for a
Andres.
Mega Man cartoon, but it's like judging by that one artwork of the new Megatron looking Mega Man, everyone's like, "Oh, this is gonna suck. This looks like shit."
Andres, what was that that you shared with me one time where they tried to do
Hmm.
like a gritty ass reboot of
Ooh.
Mega Man,
That
and
was
then it
called
didn't happen.
Yeah, that was called Maverick Hunter. Like the people behind the Metroid Prime series were trying to test the waters and make a gritty reboot of Mega Man X, but that
Mm.
never came out. That was like one.
They picked the right Mega Man game because if you want a gritty reboot, you put the word X in there.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Well,
for
let's see what else.
extreme.
And then, to cap it all off, there was a live stream by the developers of Mighty Number Nine. They had a live stream to quote unquote celebrate the release of the game. And in response to the negativity, the person who was translating Keiji Inafune added his own words to the conversation, saying, "Hey guys, at least we didn't try to put like DLC, like microtransactions or any other things that like modern games have done. You know, at the end of the day, it's better than nothing."
It's better than nothing.
You know what else is? You know what else is more than nothing? Shit. But you don't see me going out to
Or
get
you
some
know
more
what?
shit.
Just don't make the game then. You know what? Like people don't care. Like nobody actually cares. Like even people who are like fans and everything. Like Andres, if they had canceled the game, you would have been disappointed, right?
Right, because I consider myself a casual Mega Man fan, and I would like to have some Blue Bomber action, but it's like, okay, well, I would have been disappointed.
But you would have been okay after like a minute, right?
Yeah,
Like it's
I
not
would
like
I
you
would
would
just
have
go
been
I would just go back.
dwelling on the. If only we'd had him. If only Mighty Number Nine had, finally come out. He's acting like it's like this big fucking like
I can't wait.
God sent to the fans that will like they finally put it out. It's like you're lucky you got anything at all, guys. It's like, well, we don't want it then. If it's got to come with that
Mhm.
with that disclaimer, we don't want it. You can
I
have it. We're
I
good.
think I'll hold out for Mighty Number 10. Thank you. No,
Yeah, that's.
Mighty
yeah.
Number Nine, more like a Mighty Number Two, if you know
You know,
what
I
I
don't even
This
mean.
is why.
I
This
don't
is
even
why
need
I
mighty.
never.
I just need like okay number 8. Like just fine. Just fine number
Passable
8.
number 7.
Yeah, exactly. That's
This is
all
why.
you need.
This is why, despite being interested in it, I never like contributed anything to Colossal Kaiju Combat when that was a thing. Just because crowdfunding a video game seems really weird to me, because you never know if it's gonna suck until you actually play it. Like with movies, you can kind of get an idea, like watching like a trailer or some shit. But like with a
You know
video
if the
game,
story that they're gonna tell is one you're interested in hearing told.
it can look awesome, and then you get it, and you're like, oh, these mechanics fucking suck. You know, like Colonial Marines looked good. Uh,
It did look
Looked
good.
good.
Z
It
Dragon
looked amazing when they were first showing those like gameplay demos and
Yeah.
everything.
Dragon Ball Xenoverse, people love that game. It's got a great story and shit, and you can create your own characters. But I played it, and I fucking can't stand it because the controls are asinine. I wish it was like that story and that like create a character ability with like Tenkaichi's control scheme. It would be perfect. Um,
Mhm. Oh, you did mention, Bill, you were questioning why I was like so angry when I made my post
I
concern.
wasn't questioning it. I was just
Okay,
like,
well,
that was a thing that you had.
right, right. Well, the thing is, like, thanks to my friend Pete, I played the PS3 version of the game, and the PS3 was like the PS3 and Xbox 360 were the original versions that original consoles that the game was going to be developed for, and it's running on Unreal Engine 3, which is an engine that was made for the PS3, not the PS4. Which the PS4 is also the main version, like I guess the main physical copy you can find. So I played the PS3 version, and it just runs like shit. Like the PS4 version is just a very bland, okay-ish, inoffensive but not really spectacular game. The PS3 version is filled with bugs and glitches, and it's like it gets to a point where the frame rate dips so low that it looks like the character's like teleporting everywhere instead of actually
Oh my,
moving.
oh my god.
That's what
crazy.
Oh,
that's
and
what's
guess
made
what?
it
The
older.
Xbox 360 version and the 3DS version and I think the PS Vita version delayed once again.
Wow.
Oh, and
Beautiful.
the online version, the online mode that the game was delayed twice for I can't find anyone online.
Wow. See, is anybody even playing it? Like, have you communicated with a lot of people who felt the same way you have, or even just people who have played it in general?
Not a lot outside my friend Pete who barely played with it because he's busy doing real life stuff. Um,
Right.
but anyone else? Oh, from what I understand, the I guess the physical copies they are going significantly down in price. I think like the $60 or $70 like limited edition version that comes with like some collectible figure of the character, it went down like by $50 I think within the first week.
It went down by 50 in the first week. That's crazy.
Even the GameStop employees that my friend Pete went to, they didn't know about the game's release.
Oh my god. But they had it.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Exactly, but they weren't aware. It was like, oh shit, I guess we have this.
And they're like, all right.
Well,
Do you have battle?
no one pre-ordered the special edition. Do you want it?
But do you have Battletoads though?
There
That's the fucking question.
needs to be a
All
new
that
Kickstarter
matters.
for Battletoads. No, wait.
No,
On second
no,
thought, never
the
mind.
gritty- No, Andres. The gritty reboot, Battletoads X.
The fighting amphibians, because it's got to be like Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight, so it's the fighting amphibians.
Yeah, or better yet,
Yes.
it's like nowadays you got to make like a bootleg version of something you used to make, like Mighty Number 9 or Bloodstain, Ritual of the Night, or Ukulele. By the way, so now a lot of pressure has now been put on Bloodstain, the spiritual successor to Castlevania, and Ukulele, the spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie. Now there's been a lot more pressure on those developers to like kind of make up and pick up the slack for Mighty Number 9. Otherwise, people are going to lose their faith in crowdfunding altogether.
It sounds like we're approaching that, in my opinion, because there's been so many like, not even scandals, just really, just Kickstarter campaigns that went really poorly and turned into complete messes. Like what happened with Kaiju Gaiden.
Mm-hmm.
You had
Even
the
Colossal Kaiju Combat, it's been put on the development has been put on been on hold indefinitely.
and then you also had the Tigwatig thing a year back with the or Channel Awesome. They don't call themselves Tigwatig anymore.
Right.
With the game show thing. What was that? Oh, Pop Quiz Hot Shot.
Shots.
Which, by the way, I found out that was the name of a podcast with the exact same premise, and the podcast predates that show.
I think that was
So-
that was Lord Cat making fun of the show like before its actual release.
No. There was another podcast.
Oh.
I heard about this through another podcast where,
Okay.
and they didn't even mention the Channel Awesome thing. They just mentioned this podcast, which was, I heard it on the Weekly Planet. It was Pop Quiz Hot Shot. One of the co-hosts of that show was on that version of Pop Quiz Hot Shot,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a heart attack when I heard that because I was like, what? And then I found out there's another podcast that's a trivia show
Uh-huh.
that's on iTunes. So
Is it better than what Channel Awesome made?
I didn't listen to that podcast, but presumably so. If Nick Mason from the Weekly Planet is on it, I mean, he's an internet celebrity, man. Whatever he's on has to be awesome.
Okay.
Right. That logic never failed.
He'll approve of that.
Yeah.
Uh,
But the thing is, like, I feel like with crowdfunding is that there are some successes. Like the most popular example would be Shovel Knight. I'm not sure if you've heard of that game, but it's been
Yes.
floating around for the last couple of years, and apparently it's a great game. But there is a huge risk when it comes to like donating money to certain projects, and the fact is, like, when you donate money, it's kind of like you're an investor, but legally you're not really an investor, so you have no legal control over the money you fund, over the projects you fund. So it's
Right.
always it's always going to be a crapshoot. It's a gamble, like real life. I guess.
it's a bit like real life, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
In a way, art imitates life, and life imitates art, and I
The
think
thing
that's
is,
the lesson
you always have to
that we
wonder.
can all walk away from with this.
Whenever you look at a Kickstarter campaign, you always have to wonder: can these people deliver? Like, do they actually know how to do what they're
Right.
promising to do with all this money? And sometimes, you actually have people who have demonstrated ability in these areas in the past. I mean, you look at Colossal Kaiju Combat; they had Simon Strange on that.
Mm-hmm. And Mighty Number 9 had a bunch of people who apparently had a lot of experience with Mega Man.
But for some reason, I don't know. It just hasn't been going well lately.
Mm.
Hopefully that turns around because I think the idea of crowdfunding is really great. I mean, but
I mean, I just think we're gonna move away from Kickstarter and GoFundMe and all that as specific sites. I think it's probably gonna be a bit more streamlined in terms of like how you can do it, like maybe something even more specific than a website you can do it through. I don't know. I just feel like it's building up a stigma in terms of this shit's mad shady and you can't trust the
Mhm.
honesty of it. You know what I mean? You can't trust the validity of it.
Would you
So
say that?
I think that it has to be
Mhm.
streamlined, or it doesn't even have to be, because you know I don't really do it, so I don't
Mhm.
really care. But
Would you,
it just in terms of I think
mhm.
for people to get back behind it 100%, it's got to be streamlined.
Would you say Patreon is like also considered a form of crowdfunding, where it's like you give money to someone in order for them to make a better product?
I guess, but I think the way you described it when you
I think
mentioned when you first
Patreon
described Patreon to me was it's a tip jar
I
in
guess
a way. You know what
I
I
I
think
guess it is a
Patreon has
tip
a
jar,
better.
but on the other hand, some people treat it as give me this much money and I will be able to do this. Give me this much money and I'll be make the product even better.
I think Patreon has a better reputation than something like Kickstarter, simply because most of the people who use it is like, oh, here's a YouTube show and you can donate to the Patreon, and they actually like follow through when they say they're going to reward you with X, Y, and Z. I mean, not all the time, obviously, but
Unless you're
like
spoony,
unless you're spoony, but like
at which point you'll be paid $2,000 to do fuck all.
yeah, but but for the most part, it seems like that seems to go better than these Kickstarter campaigns we've been hearing about lately. And I think also just because it's on a smaller scale, it's like, hey, donate money so that I can keep making this thing that I'm making, and like I'll throw you this reward, as opposed to give me a bunch of money so that I can embark on this ambitious fucking project that 50-50 on whether or not I'm going to get done with it. I mean, really. Um,
And also, I think that with Patreon, oftentimes it's, well, I'm already an established person. People already know what I'm about. They know what I do, and they know if they can trust me or not. So there's less of a risk, I think, when you donate to somebody's Patreon because you're already familiar with them. It's not always true, and of course, with Kickstarter, that can happen as well. But I just think Patreon, that's more often how it starts out, is somebody's already built up a following through some other means, and then they follow them over to that, so they're more willing to give them money, and it's a little bit less shady because it's not like, well, hey, I'm a random guy from Brooklyn, fund my movie about swimming across the Long Island Sound naked while on fire. It's like, as interesting as that sounds, and as much as I'd like to see it, I don't trust you to handle my money for you to make this thing. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
because it's just some random guy on Kickstarter, as opposed to this person who I went to Patreon specifically to donate money to. I think is more often
Mhm.
how it goes. So,
a lot
And
of times,
but
a lot
anyway,
of
I guess
times
you know,
the last thing.
a lot of
Mhm.
times the Patreon things that people are working towards are just more realistic. It's like, hey, I'm a dude who does reviews on YouTube, so give me money so I can keep doing that and go review 9 lives. And they're like, okay, I can see that happening.
Mhm.
that is a I can pay to send somebody to the movies. It's like that makes sense.
Mhm. I do want to end this by sending you guys two pictures. One picture representing what people kind of being a good capsulation of what people thought Mighty Number Nine was going to be when the Kickstarter campaign first started, and everyone fell in love with it. And the second picture shows like the state of how people now view Mighty Number Nine.
Okay, I'm looking at number one.
It's like
I'm
very
I'm gonna,
hopeful, you know. It's like, oh, Mega Man might be gone, but here's this new guy who will continue the legacy.
will you ever be back? Only the future will tell, but our hope now rides with you, and you will never need us. And if you will ever need us, just look up. Take care, little bro. Wow, that's almost too optimistic. Like it's almost like
Dialogue, man.
suspicious.
That's like some Optimus Prime shit.
That is like Optimus Prime if Optimus Prime didn't murder as many people as he does.
I am
asking
Optimus Prime.
asking people for their faces.
No, Optimus, don't balk! He just murders him. That's from Transformers 3 when he kills Sentinel. He begs for his life and he just blows his fucking brains out.
And then the second, if you look at the second picture, it's now you can see like how the all the resentment that's now been that's
Oh, he's missing an arm and a leg. I'm more about this now. It's a lot less hopeful. I'm going to have a cartoon, a movie, a sequel. I'm going to be great. Yeah, that seems to be the way it's gone. I almost do feel bad for him though, because he seemed like such a earnest young man in the previous comic, and
hmm
now he seems like a fucking greedy, egotistical rather. Egocentrical is not a thing, I don't think. Egotistical dickhead. So I guess he got what he deserved in the end, didn't he?
In other words, he's Keiji Inafune.
He deserved to have his arms and legs taken off.
I mean,
The bastard.
if you look like this, I think you deserve to. If you look like this, I think you deserve to have your arm shot off.
I mean, goddamn, that is a gigantic picture, Andres. My fucking god, that took off my entire screen. Okay, number one. Oh, I thought. Okay, it's padding. It looked like a giant teardrop on his penis. No, it's. He looks. Yeah, he looks pretty shit. He's got that.
I know I have a giant teardrop on my penis.
I don't doubt that. I think most men do though. See, he's got that Rescue Heroes thing. You guys ever have Rescue Heroes?
Oh God, don't remind me of Rescue Heroes.
I saw commercials.
No. I'm reminding you of Rescue Heroes only to say.
One, and I didn't give a shit about the others.
I had the firefighter one, and they all had their hands were as big as their heads, like their gigantic hands.
Yeah.
And almost as big, if not bigger.
Didn't they try to make a cartoon out of that once?
Rescue Heroes?
Yeah.
There was a Rescue Heroes cartoon. I had the VHS tape. It was the
Why
best.
Do you have the VHS
Don't you doubt
tape?
it.
When you say
because it came with the toy.
Why do you have the toy?
Because I was a child in the 90s, and I was obligated to play with whatever shit my parents bought me.
You couldn't have asked for Beast Wars?
I couldn't ask for anything. I was a fucking child. I was like, hello, poor parents. Can I play with
You'll get what we
toys?
buy, and you'll like it.
That was exactly
I'm sure they at least had like $5 basic figures of Beast Wars.
Number one, the animation for that show did not...
I'm talking about the toys.
It didn't do anything for me as a kid. And I wasn't into Transformers when I was that young. I didn't get into Transformers until the movies came out, actually. So
by the time I got into Transformers, it was Armada toys I was after.
Yeah, no, I was when Animated came out. That's when I first got into all the other classic stuff.
I wonder if it's because I'm 2 years older than you that I was able to get into Beast Wars.
I remember.
Well, no,
I
it's because
remember Beast Wars being a thing. I just wasn't into Transformers at that time. I remember my first Transformer I ever had. It was fucking Armada version of Cyclonus, and that was actually a really good one to have for your first Transformer because it was super fucking easy to transform. Because that was the hardest part about those toys is the fucking learning curve.
I never had Transformers toys.
Well, isn't that
funny enough? My first Optimus Prime toy ever was actually something I got on eBay years later, which was the Japanese versions of Classics Optimus Prime.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was the one that looked mad. That's the one that had the yellow eyes and everything, and yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna look for. I think you've seen them when you were at my house, Bill.
No, I know the classic Optimus Prime, but yeah, that design is awesome.
Yeah, and I like the Japanese version because they have more show accurate paint schemes.
Right. Even though that version is still not really like the one on the show, he looks a lot more.
Oh, right. He's still a little modernized, which was the whole point of the Transformers Classics line, was to give a modern-ish update of the show of the characters.
Right. All right. Well, let's move on to the next story.
Okay.
Then.
So let's see. Next story I have. Let's see what we have here. Oh yeah, I guess we can shoot a little bit about this. Would be we weren't able to talk about the announcement of Bryan Cranston being announced as playing Zordon for the.
Oh, we're gonna talk about this now. Great.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. I figure that's the next
we have
thing.
To cook.
Aye.
I also love how this entire season has been just. I just love how this entire season has just been an ongoing stream of Power Rangers news because the Power Rangers movie is shooting right now.
Mm-hmm.
So a bunch of these episodes have just been, well, here's what's happened with the movie. Here's what's happened with the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So
here's our thoughts
we've
on
almost.
Jew
It's
Ranger.
almost like we've almost followed the production of this movie like as it's happened, as news has come out. We've been on that shit. We're gonna be remembered as the guys who covered the Power Rangers movie as it was happening.
After Andre from Black Nerd Comedy.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be after him and then nobody else.
The question is, are we proud of that?
I am. I mean,
Me
it
too.
seems like it kind of seems like I feel like people care, but nobody really cares. I feel like people care.
I think the thing is, this is probably one of the first true big '90s franchises that is now being taken up by Hollywood and made into a bigger product to appeal to older to older audiences, where for many years we've had like 80s exploitation. We had Ninja Turtles, we had reboots of Ninja Turtles, Voltron, Transformers, GI Joe. These are all things targeted towards children of the 80s, because this like 80s children are now in their late 20s and early 30s. But now
Right.
this is like the first big thing that's now targeted towards us, because we are now in the same spot that people 10 years ago were when they were paying tickets to see Transformers on the big screen.
Exactly. No, you're definitely right.
And
the
now a lot of people, a
actual
lot of journalists, they're older. They don't understand. I don't feel like it's gonna sound pretentious. They don't understand Power Rangers. What I meant to say is they didn't have that
I
connection to
don't even
Power
think I
Rangers.
understand Power
They don't
Rangers
have the
stuff.
connection to Power Rangers that we do. So it's like we
No,
feel
not
more
at all.
invested than they do.
I think the
And
only
we
person
kind
who's
of get
close
it.
to understanding Power Rangers is Linkara, and he doesn't talk about it anymore.
Oh, he doesn't do History of Power Rangers
He
anymore?
Oh,
hasn't
he
in a long
finished.
time.
No,
He
he
finished it?
finished.
He
Yeah,
did
yeah.
all
Well,
of them?
he
When the
did all
fuck
of
did
them.
that
Yeah.
happen? I've missed a bunch
He
then.
made like a 4 or 5 part review for Megaforce and Super Megaforce, tearing that shit apart.
Oh yeah, Megaforce is not good. I watched the last episode of that show, the one where they had all the other Rangers, and I was astounded by how bad it was.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Apparently, there's a longer movie version that's better. I am not watching that shit to save my fucking life. That's how much I was like,
Eat your
no.
heart out, Forever Red.
Okay, so I'll talk about one moment from the end of Megaforce.
Okay.
So there's like, so Tommy shows up as the Green Ranger, right?
Mm-hmm.
As in a person put on the Green Ranger costume, and then they got Jason David Frank to show up in 2 scenes.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
But all the Rangers that they got back to actually put the costumes on, because they didn't get them all, of course.
Mm-hmm.
They only got some of them.
And then they retracted like emails back then. Remember? Like,
Oh yeah, that was a huge fiasco when that happened, because like the guy who put David Yost like went on a rant about like how like really demeaning it was and all that. But so in the actual episode, you see Tommy twice,
mm-hmm.
and the first time you see him, he's out of costume.
Oh, the Saba sword sequence. The kind of like
yeah, he
ripping
crashes down.
ripping off like that sequence from from Batman Beyond and the Amazing Spider-Man.
It was very similar to both of those sequences where it's like there's a kid trapped in a car.
I'm
and
scared.
He's terrified. It was the worst acting I've ever seen off a child, because they shoot all that shit in
That
New
is
Zealand
saying a
still.
lot.
And it's still a New Zealand kid, and he has to hide his accent. It's hilarious. It's like a child actor desperately trying to act on top of desperately trying to cover up their accent.
Oh, and he has a New Zealand accent. Gross.
Yeah. So Tommy comes down with the fucking Yeah, you're right. Now Tommy comes down with the Saba sword.
Uh-huh.
And he sticks it in, and the kid fucking the kid climbs up the sword in order to get out of the car, and I'm like, why didn't you just give him your hand?
Oh my.
Because the sword gives him a better reach.
Yeah, but
Oh my.
not really. It's kind of curved. Also, I think he sticks out the pointy end for the kid to grab, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh my.
I don't know if that's actually.
No, he sticks the head at him.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my.
Saba doesn't talk to him before he grabs it either. He just cuts right into it.
Oh my.
But the reason why I bring it up is because it's dumb, because it's complete BS as to where exactly they got all the powers from, of course, because like he has Saba, but he morphs into the Green Ranger during the fight, or we don't see him morph, but he is the Green Ranger during the fight. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, which powers is he using? And does he have access to all of his powers at the same time? If so, why doesn't he just like use all the weapons? Like, it's very confusing and nonsensical, and I just don't care.
Maybe it's like, and then there are people who come up with like fan theories saying like, oh, they're not the real Rangers. They are like the physical incarnations of the powers that the Super Megaforce Rangers use.
That seems to be more of the idea, because at the end they turn into balls of light and go back into space.
Yeah, I think maybe that's sort of what happened in the Japanese version, where they're.
Well, no, that is what happened in the Japanese version. Yeah,
they're not the real Rangers. They're just like the embodiments of the powers that they would use to transform into past Rangers.
Oh, that element I'm not sure, but I do know that they turned into light and went up into space in the original Japanese
He's like,
version.
fuck it, we're including it in the Japanese in the American Power Ranger version.
Is this the Power Rangers one where the Sentai use like that same fucking gimmick that Ultraman's been using lately, where it's like you take a doll of a previous character and put him on a thing, and then you turn into that character?
Yes.
Yes, that is exactly what that was.
See,
Yeah.
this was the first time I ever saw that gimmick, so I thought that was cool.
Oh god, it's
Now
better.
it's been overused because the last 3 fucking Ultramen have been using the damn take powers from other Ultraman.
It was really cool when it was done in Ginga, and X did it all right as well. But like,
At least he kind of
if
had
they
power
do it,
armor. But now Orb, he fuses 2 powers to make a new form.
well, that's okay. So that's a new twist on it. But if they keep doing that gimmick forever, it's gonna get fucking old and infuriating.
Yeah. I mean, that's
But
kind of like this. That's like this. I hate to go on a tangent, but
it's cool. Go
it's
ahead.
like that's the
What's
state of
what we're
like
here for?
that's the state of tokusatsu now. It's like it's
I
not
know
really
we
about
talked
like
about
telling a
this.
story or any sort. It's all about selling toys. There's not like a real strong presence of tokusatsu monsters and stuff unless it's something made to sell toys.
We were talking about this when we did our Jew Ranger review, and I was talking about how I tried to watch Ninja, and then somebody in the comments was like, "Actually, a lot of modern Sentai are still really good, and Ninja was shit, but you shouldn't like write them all off." And I was like, "Okay, fuck you."
How dare you disagree with me?
How dare person who tried to point me in the direction of things I might like?
Yeah, I mean it's
Do do so.
As as much of a dick thing as that sounds to say, I still feel that way. But onto the actual story. So Bryan
Bryan
Cranston
Cranston,
cast
yes.
Zordon.
He went
I
from
mean,
voice actor to a random ass monster to now being one of the most highly prolific actors, and is now playing the Big Z himself.
and is now voice acting another character in a Power Rangers thing. I mean, I guess they'll probably use his face. I mean, I don't know why they
I
wouldn't.
mean,
They'd be idiots not to.
he's already bald. I mean, he's already grown his hair, but he can pull off the bald look. We know that for
He,
sure.
he was bald. He regrew his hair, and they're like, "Well, fuck! Now what are we gonna do?" Oh, I guess
That's probably what Warner Brothers said. It was like, well, he can't be Lex Luthor anymore. Let's get that other weird dude.
Rita.
Well,
I am the one who knocks.
what I'd also love is if they fucking like they get him like oh Bryan Cranston, we got you. We know you can be bald for Zordon. And he's like, I'm not shaving my head for Power Rangers. And they're like, well fuck, now Zordon has to have hair. So Zordon has so it's whatever fucking
He has a bald cap. He has a bald cap.
no, what would be
They
great
don't even
is
have
if
to
it's
do that.
whatever
They can just CG
they
out the
just
hair.
change it to they could just no. So what would be great is if they just change it to whatever hairdo Bryan Cranston has to do for another role, like because he's definitely going to be doing other acting during the
So
Power
he
Rangers
shows
movie.
up and
Because I
he's
imagine
still
his
got.
role is going to be pretty limited.
So he shows up and he's still got his hairdo and shit from the fucking what's that movie called?
The
The
Infiltrator.
Infiltrator, the mustache and everything.
No, whatever movie he's shooting now. So I'm hoping it's like he's playing like some fucking like rock god or whatever. He's got long fucking long hair, fucking a beard and everything. It's the complete opposite of Zordon. Or even better, he's got dreads. I'd love to see Bryan Cranston rock some dreads. But what could possibly go wrong with this? I mean, this could be nothing but awesome. Right?
But then something happened where Bryan Cranston, he mentioned something within an interview where he was talking about his role as Zordon on the show, where he's on the movie, where he said he remembered the show Power Ranger show being quote farcical and silly, and with weird movements and things like that. And he wasn't convinced to play Zordon until he spoke to the movie's director. At that point, he said, "Oh, this is different. This is as different a reimagining as the Batman television series as it became the Batman movie series. You can't compare those two, nor can you compare this movie version of the Power Rangers to that television series." And he said,
Is that what people want,
but
though?
then he said, like, I think let's see. He also mentioned reported to have like likened the movie reboot to Nolan's Batman trilogy in terms of being like so drastically different. I think.
And that lines up a lot with what we've seen so far, because all the redesigns have been, closer to a darker, grittier kind of look. Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen the Zords yet, but I imagine they'll probably be more realistic, kind of, sort of streamlined dinosaur robots type of deal.
I mean, I'm not disappointed in this news because I've expected that to happen all along. I mean,
No, I knew that's what they were gonna do. I'm kind of about that. Like, I'm kind of about seeing a dark Power Rangers movie just to see what it's like.
yeah.
But I
I
think
mean,
that
I
this movie
loved
should have
Power Slash Rangers.
But I think that this movie, but because of that short film and because of the change in what people kind of want from these kind of, big high concept movies now, I don't think this. I'm not sure if this is gonna play to like the sort of pop culture, um,
Mm-hmm.
to the sort of like the sort of trend we're at now. You know, the MCU is really big, and Batman v Superman got slammed by a lot of people for having this insanely dark tone for those characters. And again, I don't think that was the problem we had with that movie. But I'm just saying that
mess.
yeah, that's more of it. But I think that trend-wise, I think that they've sort of put this. I think they're putting this movie out too late. Like I think the time for the Dark Power Rangers movie was when Nolan's Batman trilogy was popular, because that's when people fucking wanted it. That's when I wanted it. I wanted a super dark Power Rangers movie when that was a thing. But after Rises came out and was kind of like had a mixed reception, and with the Avengers being really big and everything that's come after that, and Guardians and all that, I think that what people now want more so is they want a Guardian-style Power Rangers movie where it's sort of aware that what it's doing is silly and plays that up as an aspect of the story.
I've been saying for a while now that I think the ideal tone to shoot for would be Avengers, because you can have serious dramatic moments, maybe like a little bit more than you would get with something like Guardians, but at the same time it's also like light and fluffy, and it's what people crave at the moment.
And
exactly.
I do want to say that I think Power Ranger fans might be overreacting to Bryan Cranston's quotes, because you would see the reboot. You would see most people, they don't really read on Facebook. They don't really read the articles. They just look at the headline and make a comment based off of that. Power Rangers, Bryan Cranston likens movie reboot to Nolan's Batman trilogy.
Yeah, and that's a buzz way to say.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's not saying that the movie is dark necessarily. He's just saying it's different from the source material, as different as Nolan's reboot is to the original to the Adam West series.
Yeah, but that's kind of what that means, though.
What's interesting to me is that he mentioned specifically like the fight choreography from the old show. Because what if his quote is just specifically talking about like the way the action is portrayed or whatever? Because the same analogy works when you liken like 60s Batman and the bang pow to what we got later on with.
He could be talking about the way the choreography is done. Yeah, like it's more intense, like kind of realistic martial arts fighting.
Yeah.
That's possible. That, you know what? Yeah, you guys are right. That could be more what he's referring to, like more grounded kind of choreography.
This could be a Bourne-style Power Rangers movie. I don't fucking know, but
I think,
which I would actually be like kind of okay with that. Like really like Power Rangers on the ground, like you know, fucking breaking necks and shit. Like I'm about that.
Again,
there's this other quote where
Power/Rangers.
So there was this other quote where he's talking about like the teenage life aspect of the Power Rangers movie. I'm not really.
Which is what that teaser poster that we didn't talk about because we didn't do the show that week kind of showed. Where it was those kids standing on a van in the middle of a field. Like, I got a very Super 8 vibe.
I guess
that.
like wondering about like the future, or like what the future holds for them.
Yeah.
So it's like,
which is kind of what I expected.
It's like, so it's the appropriateness of that and real teenage life and going through high school and the cliques and the popularity or lack thereof and the bullies and all the different sections and subsections of high school teenage life, Cranston said, and the insecurities of these kids and things like that, hopes and dreams, and you embrace all of that into a retelling of the Power Rangers.
I'm very about that element of it, because I wanted them to make those characters a bit deeper and really play up the fact that they are in fact teenagers, and the way that them becoming Rangers plays into it, because that's not really addressed in the original show at all. Like they pretty much lead their normal lives as they were, and every now and then they have to brutally murder a monster, you know?
I think before, like maybe one of the best.
It's kind of like when you watch a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie. I don't know if you ever have this, but there are moments when like they'll say something and I'll be like, oh yeah, they're teenagers. That's the first word of the title.
Right. I think like maybe the best kind of story. I think so far maybe some of the best stories that involve a teenager dealing with the responsibility of being a superhero is probably Batman Beyond and Static Shock.
Well, I mean Spider-Man, of course.
And of course,
was the progenitor. Was the progenitor of all that.
I still want. I still want it.
The new Ultraman manga is good at that as well.
Yeah. So far,
that's of course all so far so good. It's been all about that with like this kid who has this massive responsibility, and the first 2 volumes he's unsure if he wants to even take it on. So
we don't know. I told you guys before that I really want like a Batman Beyond movie. I think that could be fucking awesome. You do the whole Batman shtick that we've had in all these movies before, but it's in the future, so it's different. And like funny enough, we were talking about Bryan Cranston. I think he would be perfect for old ass Bruce Wayne. Give him some white hair.
I thought that as well. Yeah, you have him bulk up a bit. You give him some white hair, and I think he'd be good to go.
He's already. Yeah. I mean, you look at the way he looks in Godzilla, especially like when you have like the intense close-ups and he's yelling like, "I have a right to know," like the wrinkles and shit. And I'm like, shit, he looks like old ass Bruce Wayne. And then
Yeah, I could. But he definitely have to bulk up though, because he definitely doesn't have the physique of even a retired Batman.
No. Well, Ben Affleck
Because
bulked up, so
he did. Oh yeah, I mean
he
definitely.
bulked the fuck up. He went on that
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman diet.
He went on that lifting tires through water or whatever he was doing to prepare to fight Superman.
Hell yeah.
Did he really expect that to help? Like, did he really think like doing all those crazy workouts before he went to fight Superman was really
man.
going to help him
You're
out?
telling me that this is
I mean,
telling
it
me that
can't
this is
hurt.
not a bulked up Bryan Cranston.
Oh shit. Got a picture of him from off. Oh
Well,
no,
I'll
no,
tell
forgive
you, that anemic look is, not going to serve a
I mean,
Batman
he's
well.
a retired Bruce Wayne, so I would imagine him to lose some muscle mass. He doesn't have to bulk up to Ben Affleck levels, but
No, but he would still have like that residual muscle left over from when he was
and
Batman.
would
So he would
have
still look kind of. It might even be like dead muscle, but it would still be there. You'd still see
and
it.
you would get to have that scene from the very first episode of Batman Beyond where you get to see old Bruce Wayne in the costume actually being Batman for a little bit before he realizes that, much like Mel Gibson, he's getting too old for this shit.
Yeah, I mean, you could work it in where it's like you could even have a more slimmed down Bruce Wayne in the flashbacks, because I mean, you have to have Bryan Cranston and like some makeup or whatever to play young Bruce Wayne as Batman, which I'd be very about. That'd be great.
They can
But
totally do it.
that suit would be.
Say what you will about Terminator Genesis, but they successfully made Arnold look 30 years younger at one point.
I mean, just look at Civil War. I mean, that we're there. Like that
Oh yeah,
technology is
Downey
pretty
Jr. I
spot
forgot
on.
about that. He was like straight up.
Like he looked pretty amazing, yeah. And then you of course had Michael Douglas and Ant-Man, so I mean I think we're good on that front. It's all just a matter of making it work in the context of the story. But anyway, but I mean just to the actual thing that all this is kind of about,
Mm-hmm.
him as Zordon. I mean that's perfect. I mean, you get him for the voice. When you cast the Zordon, you do it for the voice. Because I mean, the original face wasn't even the guy who voiced it.
Right,
It was
He
two
looked
different
like
people.
Dr. Evil. That was,
Yeah, he did look like
They
Dr.
actually
Evil.
drew the eyebrows on him so they can show up more clearer.
And also, you can actually make Zordon a character now. Like if Bryan Cranston is playing Zordon, you know that he's probably going to be going to have.
He's only going to be there for the first 30 minutes.
That's it. Why I don't
What
think
if we-
he's going to
what
have
if
a
we get
massive
some-
role. I mean, look at how much shooting they got done before they even cast him. You know that he's not going to be
what
in
if we
it
get
that
some
much.
flashbacks and we get to see some Zordon pre-head in a tube? I've always wanted to see some.
Well, that's what I wanted. That's what I'm
pre-head in a
saying.
tube Zordon. That's...
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to see how Zordon got trapped in the tube. And maybe even like some stuff on his home planet. Like, what exactly led him to being put on Earth to defend it from Rita? Like, that's what I'd like to know. We know how Rita got where she was because Zordon put her there, but we don't know how Zordon. Oh no, I forget
Also,
exactly.
I want to know.
They do
Is
explain
he
in the
aware?
original.
Is he
canon.
aware that he can destroy all evil in the universe by breaking his tube? And if so, how does he live with himself? These are the questions that I have to know.
That's a great point about that I never considered. I love that 3-parter, or is it a 2-parter? Whatever it is for In Space where that happens, and now that makes me like it less because that's
He
true.
could have done that at any time.
It should have been
That's
like his
true.
like suicide moment where it's like he's about to get captured. He's like, well, fuck it, and then blows himself up.
He should have done that when Divatox fucking no, he wasn't the one running the Power Rangers
No,
at that
he
point. I was
left.
gonna say he should have done that when Divatox fucking raided the power chamber.
Where the fuck did that
blew himself up.
Where the fuck did that one woman go?
Zordon.
The
What was her name?
The woman who replaced Zordon. Where the fuck did she go?
So she fucks off at the end of Turbo, right? And she just disappears. And they take Alpha with them.
Why didn't he leave again? Like, what was the explanation for that?
He had to go help Eltar out because Eltar was under attack.
Okay.
That's his home planet.
Right. Okay.
And if that planet is destroyed, the morphing grid doesn't
And then
work.
Alpha 6 just stays for like the rest of the franchise, right? Even coming back for the 15th anniversary special.
The morphing grid is super inconsistent.
But Alpha 5 never shows up.
I don't know how it works. I don't know how certain people are able to access it. It's just a big mess. What is it? What is the fucking...
It's just a big ball of timey-wimey.
See, Andres, the problem with the Alpha that's in Once a Ranger
Yeah.
is that Adam goes and gets him.
Yeah.
And Adam knew Alpha 5.
But was he
that
in
design was
Adam in Turbo? With
Yeah,
6?
but he left. He left, remember. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, you're right. My bad.
He was the first.
Okay,
He was the first.
See, because both the Rangers and Zordon left that season, and I was under the impression that they left at the same time.
No.
The Zordon and Alpha left in the first episode of Turbo.
Yeah.
and then the Rangers left a little bit later, like halfway through the season.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right.
not the point. I think Bryan Cranston's unquestionably going to be tits as Zordon. I just think it's a question of, okay, a couple things. Because, so number one, how big is his role going to be? I don't think it's going to be that big, only because he got cast so late in the game. Like, he got cast after they started shooting. So that tells you that he's probably just going to be the head in the tube, and that he's not going to be doing any walking around in, like, flashbacks or whatever, which is fine. They can always do that in a sequel.
Number 2 most important question. Can we get Aaron Paul as Alpha 5?
That is definitely the most important second question. I actually have a better one though, Dylan. I'm sorry to cut you down.
There is no better question.
Is he gonna outact everybody fucking around him? Like that's a good question because everybody else except for Elizabeth.
That's like the hallmark of Bryan Cranston's career. That's what he does.
I know, but that was kind of a problem in Godzilla though.
What he do, Bill?
That was a problem in Godzilla, though, because not only did it feel like he was out acting everybody else, but it felt like he was in a different movie than everybody else at some points. I didn't bring that up in my review, but that's something that I thought, or maybe I think I may have thought of that like later, but it kind of feels like he's in a different movie than everybody else, you know? Like he thinks he's in this, or not he thinks, because he knew what he was in, but he thinks he's in this like...
He knew what he was in for.
He was in this. He thinks he's like in this conspiracy family drama, and I mean, it kind of starts out that way.
Technically, he is in a conspiracy.
But like the monster elements, like don't even. But it feels like the other actors don't really think of it that way. You know what I mean?
I think
like it feels like they're all prepared for this big, over the top action blockbuster.
I think it would have been a better arc for him if or a better idea for his character if he had spent his entire life what if people over the years had gotten glimpses and taken photos of Godzilla, and it was kind of like a Loch Ness monster type legend, and he was obsessed.
They did.
It was he was obsessed with figuring that shit out. That would be that would be so much better than what we got.
Well, I mean, they did. I mean, there were pictures and stuff of Godzilla that were just but most of them were taken by the military. I think there weren't really any civilian pictures. Yeah, because the only people that knew about Godzilla, you got to remember
we got that with Serizawa, but I thought that would have worked better for Cranston's character.
I definitely wanted that, but you also got to remember that prior to the American military's involvements in the South Pacific, in the 2014 universe, the only people that knew about Godzilla were the South Sea Islanders, because he was in their area, he was a legend in that area. So they were the only ones who had seen him, and I guess they don't have cameras, so
the sailboats knew. They remember that shit.
They fucking I mean, a sailboat never forgets, so they fucking remembered. But anyway,
and a sailboat never forgives.
You play the Terminator theme.
I want to see a movie. I want to see a movie now about a sailboat that has been wronged by people, and it just spends the entire movie killing them one by one. And the tagline is, "A sailboat never forgets. A sailboat never forgives."
Do you guys think that Bryan Cranston hammed it up a bit in Godzilla?
That's what he do.
He was kind of chewing the scenery a little bit, and I think the correct answer is yes. So just let's just be clear on that. And I'm a bit worried that this Power Rangers movie is going to be played too earnestly around him, and he's going to be
It's kind of hard to chew the scenery when your scenery is a tube,
True, but I'm just saying in comparison to the other actors though, the other actors are going to think they're in this serious serious science fiction drama, and meanwhile not that he doesn't think he's in that, but just that he's kind of playing something differently. I'm just thinking it might not match up. But I think in this case, as opposed to Godzilla, he's a head in a tube.
Yeah.
And he's also an interdimensional wizard, as opposed to the father of our main character. So I think it's likely to work a little better.
I feel like there will have to be some restraint involved just by virtue of what the character is. It's going to be harder for him to really chew the scenery when he's trapped being a head in a tube. I mean, maybe like I said, maybe we can get some flashbacks, get some pre-tube Zordon, and then he could act the shit out of those scenes. But
I even think that they cast him because that character, it's okay to have that. It's okay to chew the scenery a bit, and it's okay to be more over the top and have a bit more gravitas than everybody else in the movie. That's what Zordon's there for, and that's why you bring in Bryan Cranston. So that's why I think he's the perfect choice. I just wanted to ask you guys that question because that was a concern I had.
I think they needed somebody who could play the wise older mentor, and they probably knew that they could never get Sir Patrick Stewart. So
he's too old for Zordon at this point. They bring him up and they'd be like.
So they were like, oh, we'll get Bryan Cranston because he sells tickets.
He does. He does. But all right, so you guys want to move on to the next story,
Yeah,
or should
sure.
we?
I'll have two short anime related news. One being that it was announced, I think, last week that the popular 2015 anime One Punch Man will be coming to America on Toonami starting on July 16th at midnight.
Ooh, I'm gonna watch that.
I gotta ask you, Andres,
Yes.
did that gimmick ever get old? Because it seems like it
No.
might. It
No,
seems
because
like
there. Well,
it
the
seems
thing
like it
is, like
would be at least in danger of getting old. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing
Like,
is, like, what works about this show is it's a large supporting cast, which I feel like really help build the universe of this show. And there are times where they would write Saitama, who is the main protagonist of the show. They would write him out of a certain situation. He'll be off doing whatever, and there will be times where you focus on the characters. And I feel like the show does a good job at making the characters just as interesting and likable as Saitama.
hmm.
Right.
So does it actually use its supporting cast, unlike my favorite anime of all time, Dragon Ball Z?
I would say so, yeah, because there's plenty of times in Dragon Ball Z where Goku is like nowhere to be found. So the action and the
I know,
narrative
but
would focus on them.
at a certain point though in DBZ, the rest of the cast just becomes superfluous. Is that a
You
problem?
mean
Well,
fucking
that's
immediately?
well, the thing is, like, that's the joke. It's like, yeah, Saitama does make everyone in the show superfluous, and I think that's kind of what plays into the comedy a bit. Maybe that was the point where this show is just one big parody of shonen anime. So maybe it's like Saitama in a way is like a parody of Goku, where it's like, what's the point of all these characters?
I think that I would almost say that that's definite, only
Mhm.
based on the way you just described it, in terms of you got this overpowered guy in the midst of all this enormous supporting cast that kind of gives supports it
But here's the thing, like,
underneath
That
him.
is
what's
what they
also the
do.
joke is that almost
No, but I'm
no.
just saying, like
Mm.
they bring it some humanity. They ground it, you know.
Yeah. And what's really interesting is like Saitama he easily has like the physical capability of being a hero, but it's more of his like emotional like journey throughout these 12 episodes where these people influence him to be a better person. So becomes a true hero like personality wise as opposed to just simply strength wise.
Right, and I agree. I mean, I have no problem with a character being like god level powerful. Superman's like my jam, so that doesn't bother me.
We would be very hypocritical if we had a problem with that.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Let's see. Here's the trailer for the anime. Not sure if you want to watch it like now or later while we're talking, but yeah, it will be coming out during G Fest weekend for the first episode of the English dub of One Punch Man, brought to us by Viz Media.
I'll
Which
take I'll take I'll take a look at it later.
okay, let's see. But yeah, I
I will
fucking
not.
love. I fucking love the show, and I highly recommend it to anyone who hasn't seen it yet.
I'm definitely gonna give it a
And
go now that it's got an English dub.
and I think what helps this show is it works a lot on it focuses it's a lot of its humor focuses on what do you call it, subversion, like doing something what the audience doesn't
Yeah,
expect you to
it
do.
subverts your expectations.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it does. A lot of the show works on that style of subversive humor. Like it knows
Ooh, that I like.
like the tropes of like superheroes and shown action animes, and then just like go and just like kind of breaks them apart or just satirizes them.
Yeah, that's what I'm really into.
Well, what's really
Like that
fun
sounds
what's
awesome.
really funny is that in the show, despite the fact that Saitama is the most powerful character in the show, almost nobody knows who he is, and
Oh, so he's not like an established
oh
superhero?
no, not at all. He's like the most obscure superhero. There are so many other heroes who are more popular than him, and it's super funny with him attempting to gain fame by having to work his way through the hero association system.
See, all the other superheroes like really obnoxious dicks though that aren't funny and are just kind of annoying? Because that might
Some are, some aren't.
see, because it's like I rewatched The Incredibles recently,
Yeah.
and that and like any superhero parody, that's always like my concern, because a lot of the superheroes are just really derivative knockoffs of other characters, and there's
Mhm.
nothing else to them except for that. And in The Incredibles, it's not there, thank God, and I think
Mhm.
that's why that movie works so well as a superhero
There are a
parody.
couple of jerk superheroes, but luckily, they get their comeuppance.
But if like they're interesting, that's fine. It's all just a matter of like if they're just obnoxious and annoying because they're just there to take up space and just be obnoxious and annoying compared to Saitama, and that's always really annoying. Like when you play up somebody as being obnoxious just to make your main character look better. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, but it's like this show also manages to make Saitama also like a very realistic person, where it's like he's not a very good person either.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely want to watch it now. Because I was under the impression by the trailers and all the different things I'd seen and heard, via the internet and everything, that like he was kind of a Superman type. Like he was a bit like kind of perfect in every way.
No. He is
Oh,
not.
okay.
He's basically like
Interesting.
kind of a bit of a lazy asshole.
But didn't he go through like intensive training
Oh
in order to
yeah.
get his
He
powers?
did, but it's like once he reached that perfection, he's like, what do I do now?
Oh, okay. So he's a bit like Goku and Super right now. Interesting. Except Goku found an outlet for his fucking insanity.
Yeah.
Goku was like, "Oh, gods, I'ma fight them now.
Oh, good, another dimension of people I can beat up.
I'm deck 'em in the schnoz."
Indeed he did.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm definitely gonna give that a go.
Maybe we can check it out. Maybe for a potential video resurrection of a video series.
We'll see what happens.
Okay.
I'm gonna be mad tired all week, so we'll see what I'm about doing.
Okay, so let's see. The next anime news we have is the fact that Attack on Titan Season 2 has been announced for spring of 2017.
Yay, I've only ever seen 3 episodes still. Woo!
in like, what, the 3 years that it's been out?
Yes. I watched one for every year.
That's stupid. You're stupid.
Didn't you know this already? I mean, we've been friends for how long? I mean, I thought you were okay with that.
I know. It's just sometimes I forget, and then I'm like, ah.
Damn it, I forgot that I'm friends with an idiot.
With a pseudo-intellectual who doesn't know what he's talking about because he doesn't know how the real world works.
Certainly. Hey guys, stop saying things about me that are true. It hurts my feelings.
Don't go the triggered route, Bill.
I don't want to be triggered right now.
Trigger me timbers.
Indeed.
Okay, but yeah, Attack on Titan Season 2 finally coming out. Why the fuck has it taken it so long? I don't know. Who knows? Maybe they're recuperating from the failure of this live-action movies.
Well, I would say that I mean, don't the Japanese kind of do their shows like Great Britain anyway, where it's like they do a full season and then they're like, well, we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah,
it's not
kind
like
of.
Maybe
Well,
they were waiting. Maybe they were waiting for enough of the manga to go by so that they didn't have to like do what they did in the old days and put in a bunch of filler.
Maybe, or it's like the fact that most anime nowadays is just like a one-season commercial for the manga itself. And so maybe they've just been sitting on their asses seeing how long can we profit off of this, and whether or not the response from both Japan and America would be enough to warrant a second season.
Well, it fucking is, because people love that show.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, at one time, if you typed in A on YouTube, it was the first thing that came up. It's not anymore because I fucking checked.
I still see people
Have you
wearing.
tried One Punch Man?
Hang on, I'll go on YouTube right now and I'll type in O and see what happens.
Okay.
Give me a minute.
Afterwards,
I still
try
see
one.
people wearing. I still see people. Yeah, I still see people wearing the fucking Attack on Titan jackets with like the crest on it and shit, or like the backpacks and whatnot.
Nope. If you type in O on YouTube, the first thing that comes up is One Dance Drake, and the second thing is Overwatch.
Okay, One Punch.
Now let's try one.
One Punch comes up as the third option when I type in O.
Really? Well, you're in Japan, so I mean that kind of it makes it.
No,
more
I
sense.
got One Dance also.
Oh, okay. Well, if you just type in one, first thing is for One Night, 10 Cloverfield Lane is the second thing, which kind of surprises me. 1,000 Ways to Die is the fourth thing. That show hasn't been on in years.
Oh, that show.
You guys remember 1,000 Ways to
I
Die?
love
Yeah.
that show. I watched those.
I loved that show too. My friends and I were obsessed with that shit.
I always watch the reruns.
Yeah, I mean that's what you did, like during the summer and shit, like before I worked and everything.
I still watch those fucking.
Oh, okay, no, that's fine. I'm talking about when I was like, young and everything. Like, I remember when I first started.
In the words of Anakin Skywalker, all my life.
I remember when I first started working. I was at my friend's house, and like for an hour before I went in every day, we would just watch 1,000 Ways to Die, and it was just like it would just get me in the proper mindset to go take care of customers and serve ice cream with smiles.
Do you ever see the one where the guy tried to take this little old lady's purse, and it turns out she was like a black belt, and she killed him?
No,
it was great.
I remember the one where it was a fucking perv. and he stuck a spy cam up through the ceiling of his house every day,
Yeah.
and would go up into the apartment above his house,
That was
and he
great.
did it so many, and it was the bathroom of some hot girl, and he did it so many times that the fucking floor caved in and the tub fell on him.
Yeah, I love that one too. There was one where these idiots tried to snort fire ants, because that sounds like a good idea. And it went about as well as you might expect.
I think I saw one episode where some dude tried to perform liposuction on himself, and he ended up like by taking a lot of what do you call like horse tranquilizers, and he ended up accidentally having like the vacuum suck away his intestines.
One guy was in a club and he strapped a salami to his leg to make it look like he had a big penis, and it cut off the circulation, and he died.
I think I saw another one where this guy he was like in some sort of like dominatrix fetish thing, and the rubber
Yeah,
gimp suit he was in like caused an allergic reaction, and because he couldn't speak due to the ball gag, he ended up suffocating and dying.
I
This
remember there was
this
one.
one guy had this fetish where he liked women who had things amputated, and he was fucking this chick that didn't have a leg, and she also had like a glass eye, and she took the glass eye out and put it in the glass of water that was on the bedside table. He forgets it's in there, takes a drink, chokes on the glass eye, and dies.
I remember one where it was a slip and slide, and there was a nail, one nail sticking up through the slip and slide,
Yep.
and two
Yep.
people died.
Oh.
They both got like they both
I used to work in a water park, so this hurts me more.
they got completely disemboweled. It was
This one time at band camp, no, this coach at like a high school was showing his students how to throw a javelin, and he threw it, and then he was running to get it, and then he was turning around talking to them, and when he turned back around, he didn't realize how close he was to the javelin. He had caught up with it, and when he ran into it, and it went through his eye socket, and
what a fucking idiot! Like at that point, it seems like there's because those based on real things, or
Yes.
were they like
yes, they were all based on true stories. Anyway, so it goes,
Oh, okay.
so the javelin goes through his
You
eye.
won't believe what happened next.
It goes through his eye and scrambles his brain, and it's great. I love it.
I mean, you think, right? What was the story we were talking about? Attack on Titan, I think.
Yes, but I think we're about to move on from that.
Okay, yeah, I mean it's happening.
Yeah,
happening.
Cool,
That's great. I can't wait to see more.
One more anime thing related is that on a special episode of the popular Kureon Shin-chan is a crossover episode
That
with the one
anime's
and
been
only
going
King of the
on.
Monsters.
That
What?
anime's been going on for like 20 fucking years, hasn't it? I remember.
Yeah.
What-
The manga first started in 1990, and the anime has been ongoing since 1992, with 895 episodes.
Because it's one of those like comedic slice of life type deals where they just keep making episodes until everyone who makes it dies.
It's like The Simpsons. It sounds like the Japanese Simpsons.
Yeah. It's just
Sort of.
the
I remember I
adventure.
watched some episodes a long time ago on like Toonami or some shit.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, that's basically what it is.
And isn't it like Shin-chan? He's kind of like.
Is it good?
Well, apparently, considering how fucking popular it is, and even here, I've seen him everywhere alongside other characters like Doraemon and Anpan-man.
I know at one point I saw a Moona guy and like slap his ass, so that was good.
Right, so he's like so Shin-chan, he's essentially kind of like the little rascals,
Except
Oh,
50 moons
just getting
people
just
slaps
getting
his
into
ass.
just getting into mischief and just saying and getting into like doing bad behavior.
so now he's gonna fight Godzilla?
Yeah,
Yes.
if you're gonna cross him over with any sort of anime icon, might as well be Shin-chan.
He's gonna.
But-
Well,
he's gonna
it sounds like they only did it because they have the same word in front of their names. Because when I watched the trailer, it was like Shin-chan versus Shin Godzilla, and I'm like, you only did it for that reason, you fuckers. I must say though, and I almost made a Facebook post about this, but I was at work, like I am fucking in every fucking second of my life now. Sorry, I had to. I almost went on a rant about work.
That got real for a second.
Yeah, I couldn't control it. It just kind of came out. And I was gonna write a post about it, and I was gonna say like, I don't know what the fuck this show is,
Mhm.
but just seeing a Japanese Godzilla traditionally animated like this
Mhm.
just immediately fills my heart with joy and immediately takes me back to my childhood. Because I remember when I was a kid, I was so sad that there wasn't a Godzilla anime because I was like, there should be. Like if there was, my life would be complete.
I still
And even
want.
just
I still want
seeing
an
a
actual.
traditional,
I still want an actual like serious ass Godzilla anime.
oh,
But this
of
is.
course,
But
yeah.
this is nice too.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing is too, we never even really saw a traditional Japanese Godzilla in anime form. I mean, he always made cameos and stuff and other animes and everything.
But it was
I remember
never
there
like
was
an
one.
official like project outside of Gojira Rando.
and it was always for like 2 seconds. Like it was never for very long. I remember one time there was an episode of some anime that I didn't watch. I just watched one episode of because the entire episode was a parody of Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, and there was this giant rat that turned into a giant Godzilla, and there was a giant rat robot that looked a lot like the show of Mechagodzilla. It was really funny, even though it was all in Japanese. I couldn't understand what they were saying, and there were no subtitles. But I was really enjoying it just for the iconography of it. So and just I felt like I was watching a Japanese Godzilla anime, and that was like pretty cool. So
Although I gotta
even
say,
though it was giant rats,
I love you, Japan, but at the same time, fuck you, Japan, because you've been teasing people with months. You've been teasing people for months with all this Godzilla X Evangelion merchandise, and that just turns out to be like a merchandising campaign. Meanwhile, Shin-chan gets an actual crossover. Shin-chan.
how did you guys think the Shin Gojira design translated to animation? Because I think it kind of looks better than the suit.
I love the dark circle, the black area they place around the eyes. They try to do the same thing like with Godzilla. If you ever see like any stylized version of 2014 Godzilla, they always do like the dark circles around the eyes, and I like how they applied that here.
A lot of Godzilla, when Godzilla gets translated into cartoon or any kind of like drawn media, that always seems to be what they do. And I think that got popularized with the 90s Godzilla suit, because if you look at that suit a lot of the time, there's so many shadows on the face that it looks like he doesn't even have eyes. Like I brought that up in my review. Like that's one thing I really like about the 89 suit, is that a lot of the time you can't even see his eyes because they're obscured in shadow, and that's fucking awesome. Final War suit too.
I gotta say though,
I think that's what popularized
I
that.
love how it's like, of all the Godzilla designs you want to cross over with the cutesy art style of Shin-chan, you go with this fucked up version.
See, when the Japanese do something like that, because it does happen a lot, where they'll cross two things over that don't make any fucking sense. Like, you remember when Hamtaro and Godzilla were cross-promoted together?
Yeah.
Back when we were kids? Like, that was, like, I was fucking mystified.
I guess because, again, like, the whole kawaii culture thing, it's like, it's the popular thing in Japan.
Well, no, because they were owned by, I think Hamtaro was distributed by Toho or whatever.
Yeah.
Or it may have been just...
May have makes sense, yeah, but it's like, hey, if you're going to advertise something, make it cute.
Yeah, I think that's what we're seeing here. Is it's just like it's a popularity thing, but it is interesting though, right? Like there is something you could genuinely do, like kind of interesting satire or just some kind of interesting narrative thing you can do with the clashing tones of the darkness of this new Godzilla with the cutesy shit of the anime. Because I kind of, with how dark and grim this Godzilla's gonna get, it seems I'd like to see it kind of deconstructed in another medium. Like I'd like to see somebody take that Godzilla, stick him into a ridiculous situation, and kind of just play around with that for a while because of how over the top, grim and gritty that Godzilla design is.
I gotta say, if Japan's never gonna give me an actual serious Godzilla anime, then I want America to do a Godzilla cartoon based off of the 2014 Godzilla. And guess who I want to make it, you guys?
You want to make it?
No, guess who I want to make it?
Genndy Tartakovsky?
Genndy fucking Tartakovsky. Why?
Woo! Really?
Why? Because I think his angular drawing style would work well for like Godzilla's head. Because the 2014 Godzilla's got like this really interesting the whole eagle look. I think Tartakovsky could really pull that off with his like angular drawing style. Plus, he's shown that he can do giant monster action because he did that one show that I'm blanking on the name of.
Symbionic Titan.
Symbionic Titan.
If we lived in a perfect world where I could have whatever I want, I mean, I'd be fucking on a beach right now, drinking a lot of alcohol. But before that though, what I would want is an Adult Swim Godzilla show that's animated like Black Dynamite, because I want like a scratchy, like old school retro but kind of weird looking Godzilla show. Like I want something that's kind of like very distinct and kind of creepy looking, and you want something that can really kind of play with the monster designs to do both creepy and over the top and kind of kid and like kind of silly. You want to be able to cover all those bases, and I only think an Adult Swim kind of animated show could. You know what I mean? God, I would kill for that. I mean, not really, because murder sounds like a lot of work. But and it's also wrong for some people, whatever.
I do want to bring up one last thing, a little bit of trivia. I was showing this Shin-chan versus Shin Gojira to my adult students, and they were all just as surprised as we were, and because they don't keep, of course they themselves don't keep track of like media and entertainment because they're not a entertainment uh, focused culture, or at least the people here in Gifu.
I just don't
And
get that. What do you do with your day if you're not an entertainment-based culture? I mean, what do you do for fun?
spend
Like,
most of your life working at a 9 to 5 job, and then spend the rest of your day drinking with your coworkers.
I definitely don't know how that
I mean,
feels.
can I get like one of those things?
Let's see. Any after but yeah, one of my students told me, adult students told me that when Shin-chan first came out in Japan, there was actually some like form of like protest against it by parents who thought that the show was too offensive for children and that it taught children to engage in bad behavior. So I guess in a way it was sort of like what would be like the American equivalent
Isn't
of that, like Ren and
isn't
Power
Stimpy?
yeah
Rangers?
Yeah, I
isn't
guess Power Rangers and Ren and Stimpy. Oh yeah, I did share with them
Ren
about
and
Power Rangers, and
Stimpy?
they thought that was hilarious as shit because they've had Power Rangers for so many years.
And it's also like the hilarious thing about Power Rangers is always that like the characters in that show are such fucking stereotypical goody two shoes
Hmm.
that like you'd think that parents would have nothing to complain about, but they focus really hard on that Japanese stock
Hmm.
footage, don't they?
Ooh, before I
Right,
move
right.
on, there was like I think it was through Shinchan that people are thinking, or maybe it was some other like artwork that featured Shin Gojira with a purple atomic breath. And I guess there are some people on our Facebook page, Toku Legion, who lost their shit over that.
Yeah,
Well, wasn't it?
like I literally saw a Facebook comment that was like, I don't mind changing the design, but changing the atomic breath is the one thing that will completely ruin the character for me.
That's
And I'm
just
like,
too far.
and I'm
But they've
like,
changed it before.
really?
It's also like really like that's such a like obviously Godzilla's atomic breath is like a iconic part of his character.
Hmm.
But does the color really matter? Like it's
No.
weird. Like making it purple is certainly weird. But I mean,
But
I'm assuming they
I
did
actually
it
think,
for a
as much as
reason.
I'm like not totally blown away by the Shin Gojira design, and I still have my problems with it even after all this time. It was growing on me a little, and then I saw those screenshots, and I was like, oh boy. But
Somebody actually photoshopped like a purple atomic breath figure on the SH figure arts. I'm gonna send it to you guys through Facebook.
yeah,
I
I
think
was
I
about to
saw
say,
that.
Yeah,
as much problems as I have with this design, I actually think that color might look pretty good with that design. And I think
yeah. I
the
think
reason,
purple and
We have to see what it looks like,
yeah.
right? Like that's with everything with this movie. Like we have to see what it
But
looks
for
like
the
in the
moment, I
movie.
think purple and red look very good with each other. Purple and black and purple and red.
well, it makes sense.
That's
They're
yeah. There's a
close.
lot of red in this Godzilla
That
anyway,
makes
so that
sense
does.
because purple and red or purple and blue are close to each other on the fucking or purple and red, yeah, close to each
Hmm.
other on the fucking color chart. So I mean, it makes sense. And blue,
Right, right.
because blue is a mixture of red and blue. I mean, purple is a mixture of red and blue. I can't talk. Fuck.
No, it's late, and I think we're all tired. So
Mhm.
I think it's going around.
Okay. Well, I
Do you
guess.
guys think
Mhm.
that there's a chance that I'm sorry? I'll just ask this one last
Sure
question, then we can
thing.
move on. Do you think that there's a chance that his atomic breath might change over the course of the movie, like the design has been talked about to change?
I
I know that
don't
that
think
was like
so.
I know there was back and forth, like oh that's
Well,
true, oh that's not true.
the one possibility that I threw out is that maybe it could be a variation on the regular atomic breath, like what the red spiral beam was.
That's true.
Um, other than
It
that,
could be the super atomic breath.
it might just be the atomic breath, and I would be fine with that. That is
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Who cares? It's a color. Like it doesn't really matter.
That's the last thing I would complain about. I mean, I think that G2000's choice to actually make Godzilla green instead of the traditional gray is a much more drastic choice and something that I could see people getting much more pissed over.
Yeah, but you can barely tell in the movie anyway. Like whenever people complained
Maybe
about
in that
that, it was
movie,
always like, "What are you doing?"
maybe in that movie because it's mostly shot at night.
Yeah. If anything, he
But then
looks
you
like
You
watch,
could tell. You could
he
Megaguirus. You could tell a lot
like
more. Yeah.
in Godzilla 2000, he looks more like he has like dark black skin and like purple reddish spines.
Yes, and I love it.
Yeah, he looks more yeah, he looks more black and red than he does green and pink.
yeah.
look
I
at
mean, listen.
look
I
at the
I can never
American
look at
poster.
I can never look at the Godzilla 2000 design with any kind of objectivity because that was the first Godzilla I ever saw. Like that was the first Japanese Godzilla I ever saw in theaters and the only one still.
Me too.
Uh,
Me too, man.
So I mean that like fucking destroyed my entire universe. Like that was like the quintessential movie to me for years.
I
Like
mean,
that was like
you look at
the
that.
bar.
You look at that. They changed this.
So that design is like that's just Godzilla to me. Like when I just think of Godzilla, like that's one of the top five
You look
designs I
at that
think.
movie, it changed the color to green, which is what people who didn't know Godzilla always thought he was for decades. It was the stereotype. They changed his breath to look like actual fire. Again, playing into like this weird stereotype that people had of Godzilla for all these years. You would think
It was a reboot.
you would think people would be way more pissed about that than they are about like about something like that than they would be like, oh, the breath's gonna be purple. Bleh. Like, fucking GMK has blank white eyes. Like, I could even see somebody being upset about that. But the color of his breath, really?
I mean, I can see, but it could get to a point of absurdity, though, right? Like, I wouldn't want green. I mean, I was about to say green, but we technically had that in Godzilla the series. But that was different. You know, it's green fire.
It's not Godzilla, so you know.
Well, yeah, no, not technically, not officially, but you could do green, I guess. I mean, I'm trying to think of a color that would actually bother me.
Like, I'm not
Like we've
saying.
technically
What
even
about
had
pink?
white because like. I mean, we're close already. We're close enough already with purple, aren't we? So why
The
not?
only thing I think that might piss me off is if they did like a rainbow one. Unless he like borrowed some power from Mothra and then had a rainbow ray, that might.
Yeah,
Oh,
but would that
actually,
really
hold on,
be
hold
that
on,
weird?
hold on. We did already have a purple atomic breath from Godzilla Battle Royale.
Oh,
Hyper
yeah.
Godzilla.
Yeah,
That's right. Hyper Godzilla had a purple atomic
that was
breath.
great. Yeah.
It was badass.
We love you, Jacob.
But back to the rainbow thing.
I think Toho saw that and they were like, "Hey, purple breath."
What was it called? I think it was called the Mega Buster, whatever the weapon was on the second Mecha Godzilla in the 90s. The rainbow atomic breath that came out of its mouth. That I mean, if it looked like that, I mean, that wouldn't be too dumb.
That
I
was
mean, it'd be dumb.
that
How
was
about
done.
yellow? What do you think
that
about
was-
yellow?
That was done to reference the color of the rainbow like eye beams that the original Mechagodzilla had. So
That's true, yeah, because they were yellow on that Mecha Godzilla. Yellow atomic breath though, I mean that's fine, except that it's too simple. I mean, if you have him fight King Ghidorah, then that kind of creates a bit of like everything kind of blends in together. See, that's the thing. It's like you don't want to give him colors that like another monster already has. Like, good thing Batra is not a bigger thing than he is, because if he was, I'd be kind of nervous. Like, well, I mean, don't give him purple atomic breath because that's too similar to Batra's like purple beams. But who the fuck even remembers that? So, like,
everyone.
Certainly not the Japanese.
certainly not Bill Wurster. I'll tell you that much.
Fuck you, Batra's great.
Batra's got the roar of Rodan, Dylan. So, no.
It's a great roar, Bill. It's a great roar.
It is a great roar when Rodan is using it.
Also, he's extreme Mothra, so I don't want to hear it.
I like Batra fine. I'm being facetious, but the roar is a massive problem for me.
He's like
I
Mothra
can't.
if he
That's
started
partially
listening to
why I can't like
Slipknot.
take that. I can't take that movie seriously, partially because every time he roars, I'm like, oh hi Rodan.
Oh, are you telling me you can't take Godzilla Raids Again seriously either?
Well, I'll tell
Okay,
you, bro.
you know what? Bad example. What about Gamera the Brave? Okay. Better example, not a great example.
But that's like, you listen to my review. That was like the crucial crux of my criticism of that film, was I couldn't take half of it seriously because I was listening to every generic giant monster from the 50s.
Or today, because those stock roars are still in use.
Yeah, they definitely are.
Like
that movie
like Bowser's roar from Super Smash Bros. Melee had one of those roars.
And I mean, so's Godzilla's, to be fair. Like, you can hear the American Godzilla's roar used as a stock roar in a lot of stuff. Like, it's in Doctor Who, of all places. You can hear the like that weird, like, extended version.
Which one?
But anyway, why don't we...
Which, the one that was in 2014 or the one that was in 98?
98, my bad. I'm still not used to living in a world where there are two American Godzilla movies.
Yeah, one of them is not Godzilla anymore, man. Get with the program.
I'm aware of that. I'm old. Leave me alone.
Some of the Japanese aren't aware that there are two American Godzilla movies.
They're not, no.
Yeah.
Which one don't they remember? The new one?
The new one.
They remember that because it happened like yesterday. But anything.
No, but didn't you just say they don't remember the new one?
I said they aren't aware that there are two movies.
No, but which one aren't they aware exists?
The first one. I mean, no. The 2014 one.
Huh, that's weird, because that's the more recent one.
Right.
See, because some Americans have already...
at least in terms of the people here in Gifu, they don't give a shit about movies or pop culture and stuff.
Yeah, it must be
because people in America have already kind of forgotten about the 98 Godzilla, so, you know.
That must be a pretty specific problem to the specific area of Japan that you're in, because I was under the impression that 2014 did well in Japan, and
maybe in like the big cities of Japan, where like your Tokyos, your Osakas, but they don't represent all of Japan. They just represent like the biggest, most populated cities in Japan. But
so
not
the best
almost all majority of Japan is not like the 2 or 3 cities that everyone is familiar with.
It may not have done that well though, because if it had done crazy well, do you think Toho would have felt the real drive? I mean, I guess maybe, because I was gonna say maybe the reason Toho felt they had to bring Godzilla back on their own terms was because the movie didn't do that well in Japan. But
I mean,
I don't think
you
that's true. I
remember,
think it did. I think it did
you
fine.
remember the interviews we saw in that one documentary from G-Fest, the name of which I have forgotten.
Hail
They
to the King.
Yeah, Hell of the
they
King.
seem to have liked the
That was a
movie.
Kickstarter thing that went smoothly.
I loved that documentary. Yeah,
It's
Mhm.
pretty great. It had Beard Guy in it. I don't remember his name.
it did. Kyle Yount. I remembered his name, and my memory is the worst of everybody here. So I'm infamous for
I just
that.
like to call him Beard.
Sure
I just
thing,
like to
Mister
call him
Mister
Beard Guy.
Silverhair.
It's a great beard.
It's gray. It's gray hair, by the way, Andres. It's not silver.
It's not either of those things.
Okay, so let's see. Moving on, since we mentioned
You're right, Dylan. It's purple.
Genndy
Actually, now it's
Tartakovsky.
blue. Meh.
Since we mentioned Genndy Tartakovsky just a while ago, I might as well talk about the announcement that Genndy Tartakovsky's Luke Cage comic is finally getting released after having been left on the back burner for over a year. Genndy Tartakovsky was working on his 70s style Nick Cage comic book, but unfortunately what had to wasn't able to finish it. Actually, oh, this was originally announced in 2007, where it was meant to be a solo creative spotlight for the creator.
Holy fuck! That's 10. That's almost 10 years.
Yeah,
Shit.
but unfortunately, he had to leave a lot of work after having to work on drawing storyboards for Iron Man 2, creating Symbiotic Titan, and working
Maybe
on Hotel
Tartakovsky.
Castlevania. He had a lot.
Tarkovsky did storyboards for Iron Man 2.
Yeah, and I think his team actually animated the helmet sequences where you would see Tony Stark looking at all the holographic stuff. I think that was animated by him and his team.
Andres, I don't know if you caught it, but you just called that movie Hotel Castlevania.
Sorry, Hotel Transylvania. Thank you very
Oh
much.
Christ, that's funny. That's the funniest thing you've ever said, and it wasn't even on purpose.
And also, he was also working on that Popeye movie that was ultimately canceled by the
I'm,
studio.
Oh yeah, that was gonna be a thing at one point.
I'm okay
Mhm.
with that.
Did you ever
They
saw?
were gonna bring back the Flintstones at one point
Because
too.
if it had been anything like the Robin Williams Popeye movie,
Did you see the test footage for Popeye?
I think you showed it to me at one point, and I was like, I'd rather Tartakovsky did other
Does
things.
anybody really even care about that character anymore? Though, like, what does Popeye even fucking mean or do anymore? He's a fucking like sailor who fights another sailor who both want to own a
Are-
woman. Like
Are they both
that's
sailors?
all Popeye is.
Oh, blow me down.
No, Popeye, fuck off. I'm not blowing you for anything. Fuck you.
Yeah.
I see.
Take your fucking cancerous, tumor-ridden arms and get the fuck out of my house.
Yeah,
I
way to
see.
steal
I'm
a
gonna
joke from
respect.
Family
I'm gonna
Guy.
respect the spinach. You know, they would have been able to do this with me.
No. What are you gonna die of dysentery? Yeah, you go have some spinach, Popeye. Go enjoy your spinach. Me, I'm gonna have a nice fucking.
I don't know if it's just because of
Steak.
that impression that Andres just did, but now I really wish that Popeye had been played by Marlon Brando.
Yeah, you can the day of my daughter's wedding. Yeah.
Could have been a contender.
Well, if you click on the link below, you can see like a preview page for the Luke Cage comic. But yeah, after having to work on other projects, he's now back on this and will be able to release this project of his.
This isn't gonna be canon, right? This is
No,
gonna be
no,
like
it's gonna be its own thing. Where it's
Cool,
like,
that's
oh,
awesome.
here it is, from the award-winning creator of Dexter's Laboratory, Samurai Jack, and Hotel Transylvania. On the mean streets of Harlem, shoes are big, shirts are large, bottoms are belled, and crime is rampant. But in the
This
heart of the city, the world's
This
hardest
sounds like
working,
my jam.
the world's hardest working, smack-talking, chain-wearing superhero is on the streets and on the case. And his
This
rates
is-
are reasonable. He's Cage, and he'll save your behind. Dig it.
This is definitely my jam.
Dylan, they're basically doing Shaft with Luke Cage, and I'm even about that.
I mean, that's my whole life. That's just,
Cage.
It really is. Oh, that's awesome. I may have to read that as well, and I haven't read current comics in a long
who's the
time.
black private dick that's a sex machine to all the chicks. Cage, apparently. Yeah.
Hero 4 higher. That sounds awesome, though. I mean, that's like, what could possibly go wrong
Now
with that?
maybe
Like,
he'll fight Blackula.
Hey.
Blackenstein.
Yeah, I mean, Marvel has all their own versions of those characters,
Dude,
not
he's
not
got a-
not
he's
not
got a
the
team-
black versions of like the normal versions.
got a
Marvel's
team-
got
he's
their
like-
own Blackula. He's
But
called
they could do
Blade.
like two. No, but they'll do
He
Tomb
needs
of.
to
They
team
could do
up with 70s Blade.
no, they could do Tomb of Blackula and like fucking what was their Frankenstein comic called?
Yeah.
Curse
The,
of
the
Frankenstein.
I think
Oh
no,
wait. Actually,
maybe.
I don't want Cage to fight Blackula. Fuck that. Because that's one of my Tornado Jones ideas.
Yeah. Even though Luke Cage and Tornado Jones probably roughly the same characters.
No, fuck you.
I mean, you're
Cage
basing it on,
is
on
Luke
this. They're the
Cage.
same.
They're on the same spectrum, and by that I mean they're
I
both
mean, the
autistic.
same
No,
same archetype. I mean,
pretty much. Yeah.
yeah.
Speaking of
All
autism,
right.
Jim
No,
Jeffries has this new special on Netflix. It's
Ooh,
fucking great. Jim Jeffries,
ooh!
Australian guy.
I saw that 2 days ago.
How do we get to autism with that? What?
Isn't that he has an autism joke in because he found out he's on the spectrum.
He's like,
Oh, because you
hey
said.
mom, you'll
Oh,
never
you
guess.
said
Hey
Spectrum.
mom, you'll never guess what? What? You're getting married? No, I have autism. Oh, everyone knew that.
Yeah, it's great. He also had a great bit about Bill Cosby,
Yes.
and it was recorded in Nashville. So
Oh yeah, he was in your state.
Oh, Jim Jeffries himself is on the Spectrum.
yeah, he found that
Yes.
out. He
Huh.
because his wife didn't want to get their kid vaccinated because she's one of those McCarthy nuts, and so he took the kid and got him vaccinated anyway, which is super illegal. And then he thought the kid got autism from it. He was like, "Oh shit, I made him retarded." He takes him into the doctor. He's like, "No, he's not autistic. He's just drugged up because you got all of his shots at once." And then he found out that. And then he
Oh,
found.
well, it wouldn't. He thought it was gonna happen. He's a fucking idiot. He thought it fucking happens instantly. Like you just like, oh, I got so
But they
many
mentioned
shots.
like, dude, Jim Jeffries, you do realize you have a history of overreacting to situations, right?
Because you're on the
And
spectrum. And he's like, "Wait, what?"
Oh,
It was great.
that's interesting. I have to watch that special now. I definitely love to hear him talk about that.
Also, he talks about the aftermath of his famous gun control sketch.
Yes, that was yeah, that I would like to hear that as
He
well
got
because I like that sketch.
he got shot and legit. So
Oh, really?
yeah. Oh yeah, you haven't seen all of legit shit.
No, I only saw the first season.
He tells he does his whole gun control routine in an episode of I think it's season 2 of Legit, and afterwards some rednecks shoot him in the parking lot.
Holy shit.
maybe we should listen to that comedy on the road to G Fest.
Maybe
Like
that might be fun.
we did
Yeah.
kind of the same thing with what's his face?
We did it
Fucking
with
Gaffigan. Also,
Gaffigan. No, the other
Gaffigan
guy.
and Tom Segura
Tom
too.
Segura, yeah. Oh, he hasn't.
We have to listen to Tom Segura's new
his
special.
new- oh, yeah, I saw it twice.
Second
It's
special was
great.
great. Yeah.
Oh, I saw it twice too. Now we shouldn't because we're not going to listen to it a third
Like,
time.
what about
Last time-
people with tongue piercings? What about them?
Tom Segura. That man. That man.
I'm gonna watch that again right after this because I don't really remember any specific jokes from it, and I'd like to. So,
Yikes!
all right.
Yeah. Okay.
What were we
Let's
talking
see.
about?
Luke Cage.
Yeah, that's the thing.
How about it?
Happening. It
Yeah,
sounds
cool.
great.
It's
I'm
a
gonna
thing.
read it.
It's happening. Yes.
I
All right.
love-
So let's see.
love
Moving on to.
Tartakovsky.
Oh, since we also talked about dead bodies previously, let's talk about how a 19-year-old teenage woman from Riverton, Wyoming, who found a dead body while looking for Pokemon on Pokemon Go on Friday.
Can somebody
And-
please explain to me this Pokemon Go phenomenon?
Okay.
Because I woke up one day and like the world had a new obsession, and I was like,
Yeah, no, I'm with
I
you,
was
man.
like, what happened?
Okay, so Pokemon Go is the latest attempt at the Nintendo getting people to get off their asses and go outside and interact with the world. First,
See, because I thought you were about to go, so Pokemon, right? And I'm like, oh no, don't do this, Andres. I don't need a whole
But
history
why
lesson.
does Nintendo want people to do that? They make their money off of people not doing that.
no, really, from the very beginning, the whole reason why there has always been two versions of every Pokemon game is to get kids to interact with each other and trade Pokemon that are only exclusive to certain copies of the game. And since then, there have been other gimmicks installed in the Pokemon game to get people to be more social, more interactive. They even like back then in around like I want to say 2011, they made a remake of Pokemon Gold and Silver that came with a pedometer that allowed you to put Pokemon in your pedometer and like every step you walk, it gives experience points to the Pokemon that's in the little device. But anyways, with Pokemon Go, it's
This is a bit more ambitious than that.
yeah, it's a
A
free
bit.
it's a free app that was announced during the 20th anniversary celebration of the Pokemon franchise, and with Pokemon Go, it's a free app you can download for Android or iOS, and basically you can use it's able to scan your environment and allows you to search for Pokemon in the real world. And so you walk around, you have the Pokemon Go app on, you walk around the real world, you'll find Pokemon
Anywhere.
anywhere in real life locations. You can set up your own level up your Pokemon. You can set up your own gyms. You can challenge other people's gyms. You can challenge other people's Pokemon. So it's basically a very watered down version of the basic Pokemon mechanics and applied to real life in order to get you to travel around and find certain Pokemon in real life locations.
Yeah,
Right,
I've
because
seen
it's
pictures
all
on
based around
Facebook.
like real life places and
I've
everything.
seen
Yeah.
pictures on like Facebook, and it'll be like, I found like a fucking Rattata, and it's like on their TV, and I'm like, that's not accurate. He should be in the grass.
Well, technically, you can find certain Pokemon only in certain environments. Like you can find water Pokemon near rivers and lakes and whatnot.
Right.
So if I want
Well,
Lugia,
last night.
so you're
So
telling me that
last
if I
night.
want Lugia, I have to download this app and dive to the deepest depths of the ocean.
Most likely.
Yeah, probably.
Great.
They haven't revealed where Mewtwo is yet, so I haven't played the game
One
because
person made
I'm
a
not.
joke about someone attempting to go to Area 51 saying, "Where the fuck is Mewtwo?"
Oh, I saw that meme everywhere. Yeah. The other one was it's in Chernobyl, like Mewtwo in Chernobyl.
If I was going to Area 51, I'd be looking for fucking Deoxys. Uh,
Yes, you're gonna find Deoxys, the fucked up DNA Pokemon.
So
so if I
I'm
had
not.
so if I had this app and I was in the plane and I just like pointed it out at like the clouds, could I find Rayquaza?
Yeah, because I saw a meme that there was a Pokemon on the wing of a plane. So yeah, you can.
There's something on the wing.
Yep. So what I was gonna say was I haven't played the game, and I probably won't because it's not really my thing.
Yeah.
Like I don't really play app games like that, and I also just don't have time for video games at
Also,
all.
it
Like,
drains the shit out of your battery since it's
yeah,
using like
so
GPS and camera AR technology.
so last night, right?
Yes.
I'm not into
I
games that are trying to make me walk around places.
well,
You were Pokemon going.
I Pokemon Go'd last night
I mean,
with my friends
I mean,
Nicola
you
and Frank.
Pokemon went.
Oh well, no, I did that on purpose for a joke, Dylan. Because poor literacy is cool.
Cute.
Uh,
Or literacy is cute.
so I went out with Nicola and Frank, my friends, and they have Pokemon Go. I just kind of walked around with them as they played, and that was like my test run to see if I would download it, and I was like, no, thank you. And it was fun. I had fun walking around with them, like making fun of them as they did it.
Were any of you like singing the theme song that would play in the video games as you're walking around, like Kanto?
No,
I
sung
wouldn't do
the
that
actual
because I
themes.
never want to hear that song again.
No, I like sung the actual theme song for the show like several times. I shouted it at the top of my lungs at 11:30 at night. Uh, uh,
People love you in your area.
oh, I'm the biggest fans. They're my true followers. And we walked 4 miles over the course of looking for Pokemon.
Jesus
It was pretty
Christ.
fun actually. It was pretty fun. We went to a park and we went to a couple of memorials because like a bunch of like memorials, churches, and police stations are like Pokestops is what they're called.
Oh, where you can buy items.
Okay, that's what they are.
Or
So I
you
thought
can
like
spend real money for microjack transactions on items.
the people's favorite thing.
Yes.
But so basically like you just kind of walk around for a while and then every now and then it'll be like there's a fucking Pokemon. You can catch it if you want. And then
Do you have
pull up your
to
phone.
do you have to try to catch it or do you just click it?
No, you
you want
flick
to-
balls at it.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Well, yeah, like it looks like the actual app itself looks exactly like Snapchat, except where the camera button is, there's a Pokeball, and you click that and you throw the ball. Clearly, the interface is based on Snapchat. It was very clear to me when I saw it. And then you can see for the camera, you can actually see like the Pokemon and like where it is in the actual environment. And I was like, I would run in front of my friends' phones and like try to beat it up and like kick it and everything, and I was having a great time.
They were like,
Having a
Bill,
great
I
time.
choose you.
Yeah.
And so like ever since
I chose me.
ever since
Use talk 'em to death about Godzilla, and then you.
That's how I win all my fights.
So, anyways, after the game came out, there have been some stories, and I still don't know if they're real or not, about people getting into accidents. One person went into was looking for Pokemon in a bad neighborhood and ended up getting stabbed. Another person apparently was trying to catch a Pikachu while driving on the freeway and got into a 5-car
That's
crash.
just a great story. Because imagine you're in the afterlife, supposing that there is one, and they're like, "So how'd you die?" And you're like, I was playing Pokemon Go. Walked in front of a fucking train."
Listen,
you imagine
listen,
being
man,
one of the
listen, man. I want it to be the very best.
Like no one ever was. Dun dun.
Like that episode of Family Guy where it was like Brian went to heaven and he was talking to all these like dead artists and they were all like, "I was really tired of like the way society was, so I killed myself." And then they get to him and they're like, "So how'd you go?" And he's like, "I got into some chocolate."
Well, can you imagine being somebody who survived that 5-car pileup, being in the hospital, and like somebody comes up to you and is like, "So do you want to know what happened?" You're like, "Well, yeah, of course." And it's like some dickhead was playing Pokemon Go. Can you imagine if you're half paralyzed or some shit?
It's really funny that
my response to that, if somebody was like, some idiot was playing Pokemon Go, I would have, it would be the line that Jackie Brown had when they found the Coke in her bag. What's that shit?
Although it's really funny because when you turn on the app, there's the first message that you see is, "Hey asshole, watch where you're going." I just took a screenshot right now. I'll send it to you guys.
It actually says asshole.
No.
Oh, I was about to say I suddenly love this app.
The Pokemon Go Twitter account did put up something, right? Like, don't Pokego and drive or something.
There we go. That's the image right there that you see when the game first loads.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Oh, you put it in Facebook?
Facebook, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Remember to be alert at all times. Stay aware of your fucking surroundings.
Hang on, I still can't see it. Got it.
So Nintendo is not at fault here. The game is not at fault here, okay? It's
No.
simply basic Darwinisms.
It's fucking common sense. If you're gonna play this dumb game, don't fucking it's not actually dumb. It's fine. But if you're gonna play the game, you would not be constantly staring at your phone, right? Like people have common sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
don't.
Funny. Last thing I do want to say is that the game, even though it's available in Japan, or at least I was able to download it, or I downloaded an American version thanks to Nicola, who shared a link on Facebook to download it for Android phones before it officially came out in America. But the servers in Japan are not yet open. I don't know why it's not open here in Japan, but it's like if you try to turn on Pokemon Go, the game still puts out a map of your location, but there is nothing out here.
So it's just a
right.
GPS at that point.
I was biking, yeah, exactly. I was biking to and from work for an hour total, and I found jack shit.
Takes you an hour to bike to work?
No. I was biking to one location. It takes me 30 minutes to get to bike to work because I live far away. I do plan on changing that in October though. I didn't talk to you guys before off recording, but then on Fridays I have a second location to teach 2 classes at, and it takes me another maybe 30 to 40 minutes to drive from work to over there, and then another maybe 30 40 minutes to drive from there to home. So I do a lot of biking on Fridays because I bike to work, then I bike to second location, and then I bike home. Found no Pokemon in all that time.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I had the app on all the time, so I was bicycling and holding the app phone on my phone.
But if you had the American version, that might have been it.
Oh no, actually not, because Nicola and I were using, thinking that she was using the same version from that link. She and I were using the Australian version app because it came out in Australia before America. So if she was able to use the app successfully for the last couple days in America, I figured the same thing would happen, especially since the app works and is able to show my surroundings.
Right. Now that is weird. But I'm just saying because there was nothing there that made me go, well, maybe it's not using the right server because it's not the right version. But no,
the fact that there is no Japanese server here,
right?
They haven't set up everything in Japan yet, and so apparently from what I could find, there has been a rumor that Japanese servers will go up on tomorrow. Actually, well, tomorrow for me. not sure if it's the 10th already where you guys are, but on July 11th, apparently they might have it there because that will be the day to honor the 1 year anniversary of the death of Japanese Nintendo former president of Nintendo Satoru Iwata.
Right. Gotcha. Well,
So
there you go.
yeah, yeah, people getting into car crashes, people finding dead bodies, and going into shady neighborhoods.
I mean, I'd love to see like a remake of Stand By Me with that introduced into it. Like the
Yes, I was
reason the
thinking of
kids
Stand By Me. She was on a
find the corpses is because, or find the corpse is because they were playing Pokemon Go.
yeah.
If they ever remake it, that's what they're doing.
Right.
They're gonna be Pokemon going by me.
Go by me.
Go by me.
Go by me.
Go by me. I couldn't think of
In a
another
day
way
or two.
to. We're listening to that in the car for sure now.
Fuck yeah.
I've
Definitely.
got it.
Ah, perfect.
Two.
Oh, we're gonna torture Kyle. Oh, it's gonna be great. I love it.
All right, Cap.
All right.
It's cool, Cap.
Cow. This is some Tarzan boy cow.
Yes. Oh, I can't wait for Tarzan. Whoa.
The funny thing is, like, I'm the kind of
I just
person
want to
who
ask you a
always.
question, Kyle. Would you walk 500 miles?
I would walk
500 miles. Dude, I'm always the kind of guy who loves to sing in my car, and so I still do that when I'm singing while I'm biking to and from work. So
Please
it's
tell
like
me that scene is like super weird in Japan.
nobody does that, so I know I'm freaking out some people, and I don't give a fuck if I'm
good. I feel like that's the me that has rubbed off on you. The lack of giving a fuck.
You should
See,
bike down the
thing
street
is,
singing.
if I'm gonna be biking to and from work, if it takes 30 minutes for me to bike to and from work every day, I'm gonna fucking enjoy that 30 minutes.
Damn right, motherfucker. Like, you better have your headphones and you better be listening to fucking Tarzan boy
Fuck
fucking
yeah, I'm listening to Tarzan fucking boy.
trying to catch Pokemon in vain.
You should ride to work one day and just be singing America, fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah! On the way to save the motherfucking day.
I can only imagine how freaked out people would get around me while I'm singing Tenacious D. I did not mean, he did not mean to blow your mind.
Maybe you
That shit happens to me all the time.
You're biking down the street singing I think I'm turning Japanese.
Oh god.
Speaking of Japanese, last story I have here is the recent reveal that Sulu from the new Star Trek movies is revealed to be a homosexual individual, and controversially, George Takei was not really okay on this creative decision.
George Takei was not okay. You know, I was all about it at first because I thought, oh well, that kind of makes sense because Takei was gay, and it's like a neat little nod and shit. I hadn't thought of it the way that Takei is talking about it when he's describing why he's pissed about it, and also now I'm kind of pissed about it because it's just another thing they've done that flies in the face of what the first J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie established, with that everything that's different in this universe is supposed to be because of time travel. I'm sorry, time travel does not turn Con white and does not make a character who was straight in the original continuity and had a daughter gay. If you're gonna make big changes like this, you have to fucking reboot. Just plain old reboot. The fact that you did time travel means that you're supposed to have some restrictions because it's a pseudo reboot. You can't just do whatever the fuck you want. But they don't seem to agree with me.
So let's see. Actor John Cho, who plays Sulu in Star Trek Beyond, revealed his character will have a same-sex partner and a daughter in the new film, making Sulu the first openly gay LGBTQ character in the series.
So wait,
it's intended as...
So the daughter is still canon?
Yes. I don't know if it's an adopted daughter or maybe it came from a point in his life where he was not sure who he was, because that happens.
Well,
look at
I
Ricky
think
Martin.
I think that would be less likely to happen in this like future that's super open and like accepting of everything, though. I think less likely for situations like that to occur. But if the daughter is still canon, then it doesn't piss me off as much as it did before. But still, it's still fucked up for the reasons that George Takei is upset about, because he sees it as just like a cheap like cashing in of like who he is to like be like, oh, see, we're like modern and shit.
So
it's also a matter of like, let me just say, this is something I thought of before when we talked about it, like off recording, and I meant to bring this up. I could see why he might feel exploited in terms of like they're not only are they using his newfound fame, for being who he is, but also he might find that offensive because it's like, well, because this character was played by a gay man in the original show, he's got to be gay in the new version, even though he's played by a straight actor, Like, just because the character was played by a gay actor, the character has to be gay, you know what I mean? I can see how he might take offense to that. I mean, I wouldn't.
Like, here's what
who fucking cares?
Here's what he said,
but,
apparently, according to an interview with a Hollywood Reporter. I'm delighted that there's a gay character. Unfortunately, it's a twisting of Gene's creation, to which he put in so much thought. I think it's really unfortunate. Let's see. I said, this movie's going to come out on the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, the 50th anniversary of paying tribute to Gene Roddenberry, the man whose vision it was carried us through half a century. Honor him and create a new character, I urged them. Let's see, Lynn, I think Lynn is the director. Lynn left me feeling that was going to happen. So I guess there were also read another article where it's like, I guess George Takei had tried to persuade them to make an original character as opposed to make an original character gay, as opposed to taking a previously established character and making them gay. But the writer Simon Pegg, he responded in another interview saying that he would like to do that, but unfortunately, if they were to make an original character, they would then be seen by the public as the gay character, as opposed to being seen as a character who is gay. And so he felt like,
if you write them properly, that's not an issue. At that point, who cares? Like, if it's
So
written well, who gives a fuck?
I guess, like, Simon Pegg's excuse is how the character would be seen by the masses.
But that's such a non-issue, though. Like, okay, they're the gay character. It's like, well, if it's written well, what does it matter? If they're a silly archetype, well, then yeah, that's a problem. But if they're a well-written character who happens to be the only homosexual one in the story, well, I mean, yeah, that's like, it's a little weird. But if it's written well, who gives a shit? Is my point. You know what I mean?
It kind of reminds me of, you remember when there were like rumors that they wanted Will Smith to be Superman, and
yes.
he turned it down because he's like, I don't want to be known as the Black Superman.
No, that was Idris Elba for Bond.
Oh, whatever. The Black Bond, whatever. It's sort of a similar situation in that now Sulu is going to be known as, like, the gay one. When before he was known because, he was a part of this ensemble cast, and, like, everybody in the ensemble, he had, like, this distinct personality and shit.
Because he was George Takei.
It was because people liked the character, and now I feel like they're trying to just... I don't know. I see why he's upset. It does seem a bit cheap. And maybe I'm just jaded.
Well, when Will Smith was approached to play Superman, they courted him hard for that.
It seems to me like the same mindset behind let's do an all-female Ghostbusters. It's just like we need to show that we're totally PC and shit, and that we are all about like social justice and bullshit. And then like
I don't think that's like maybe like the original mentality behind female Ghostbusters. Maybe it was just seen as like, oh hey, look, it's a gimmick. But now they're trying to maybe like over the course of like the ensuing controversy and then the shit show that came out of the trailers and the backlash and all that, they were trying to, like, I think I've talked to you guys off recording that maybe it's like they adopted this whole social justice sort of like persona to give this movie a more to make this movie feel like it had a more importance in its a more important existence or something, a greater purpose to its existence.
Well, we'll find out next week, won't we?
Oh yeah.
Ooh. Well,
maybe it'll be shit that'll turn us white.
Probably.
I mean,
that'd be pretty easy for me and Dillion.
How much whiter can I get, man?
That won't take much of work. I'm a bit tan, like a little.
No, man. I'm almost white.
Yeah. Can we switch skin colors? Because no. Wow, that was fucked up. I'm trying to take your identity away from you.
Cultural appropriation, you son of a bitch.
Oh well, he's my child. It's fine. I can take whatever I want from him.
He's like, you fucking owe me.
I do. So, yeah, no, I think it's... Listen, it's fine. I guarantee it plays like little to no role in the actual story of that movie. I mean, not that I'm that excited for that movie anyway, but...
Like, Takei is going to be Takei no matter what. Well, like the Cho version of... John Cho version of Takei.
Yeah.
He's still going to be...
You mean Sulu. But yes.
Sorry, yeah. Oh my fucking god.
I was like, the version of Takei.
Sulu's still going to be Sulu.
Yeah, I mean that character's barely in the last 2 movies anyway.
mean,
He had one
if
cool scene in the first movie, and that was it.
if the reveal of him being gay means that we can get him running around shirtless on the Enterprise with a sword, I'm about that.
I only hope
Yeah,
don't make like a joke out of it, where it's like he walks out of his like dorm room, and then his boyfriend just so or husband happens to be there. He's like, "What?"
My question is, what are
that's
they gonna do?
probably what it'll be.
I hope it's that sound effect too. I hope Tim Allen's in the movie for like 2 seconds,
Huh?
just so we can go.
And then
It'd be hilarious if it was George Takei who was in there. Like George Takei was just like,
What if
reminds me of
George
that one. Reminds
Takei?
me of the
What if George Takei had a cameo as a different character? He walks in on New Sulu like having sex with his boyfriend, and he just goes, "Oh my!"
see, what they really should have done is they should have put Takei in the movie as an original gay character. Is what they should have fucking done.
But wouldn't that not make sense considering how Spock Prime is in the first two?
Who gives a
They
shit at
don't.
this
They don't
point?
give a shit anymore, Andres. They don't give a shit anymore.
There's 2 cons. There's no cons. Who gives a shit, Andres? Who gives a shit?
They've shat all over that premise enough already that they don't give a fuck. Obviously.
Yeah, no,
That point, might as well
I'd say
bring
they
back
should.
Shatner.
They were gonna before Nimoy died. Yeah, that was the plan. They were gonna bring them both back for this.
My question
Wow.
is, what are they going to do in Star Trek 4 now that Chekhov is dead?
To shat or not to
Yeah.
shat? That is the question.
Who's going to drive the vessel?
Oh yeah, that's something we didn't mention on this
Oh,
podcast that Anton Yelchin passed away.
oh, that
Awful.
fucking terrible.
That's awful. He died in a really fucked up way
Oh
too.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I
Well,
freak accident.
I hadn't heard, how did he die exactly? Like,
He forgot to put the brakes on his car, and so the car kept moving and crushed him
oh,
against the mailbox.
yeah, it was not. It
should
wasn't like a.
you should do that. Oh,
It was. Oh, you mean put your brakes on? I thought you were saying that to Andres. Like Andres, you should do
no,
that to
he
yourself.
was like
I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with
he
you,
was
you
like
animal?
he was like he forgot to put his brakes on. I'm like, yeah, you as in people in general should do that. Like,
I love how I just called you an animal.
I mean,
That's
it's fair.
That's true. So, scientifically, it is true.
Oh yes, yeah.
But nah,
I am
you know,
aminal.
we are Star Trekking. I guess is the takeaway.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was like this one fan art that was dedicated to his passing away, where I guess he's in heaven with the actor. He's in heaven with the other like deceased Star Trek actors, with Nimoy going like, "I'm so sorry. I'm surprised to see you here so early, but welcome."
Yeah, I saw that. That was cute. Yeah.
Now
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
now he's Star Trek 4: The Voyage Home.
Ooh. Well, on that note, Andres, that's all for news,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, just one last thing. I forgot to bring this up before, but because this is Giant Monster related. A while back, there was this video game that came out called Evolve. There was a lot of hype behind it, but then like people immediately lost interest in the game, considering how there was very little content and a shit ton of microtransaction and DLC stuff for the game. So because of how like crap the how much it's lost popularity. I think like when was the game released? I want to say 2015 or 2014 maybe. And so now the game's been relaunched as a free to play game on PC. So
Huh.
if you haven't
Okay.
played the game before, now you can play it on your PC for free rather than having to spend $60 on a game that's only worth maybe $20 worth of content.
Well, there you go. That's certainly a better way to do it, I think.
Hmm.
All right.
So there we go.
Well,
That's the news.
that is the shit you may or may not care about with Andreas Perez. I cared about quite a bit of that actually. I'm kind of surprised.
I am a happy moment.
Cool, cool. Dylan, you had something scraping at your door now, didn't you?
Yes, hold on a second. I'm typing something to Jacob Picker.
Oh,
Tell
all
him we
right.
said hi and that we're recording.
In the middle of a podcast. All right, that's cool. I see that. It's all good. It's all good.
Big plans. Big plans. Anyway,
Yeah. So yes, yeah, we do have big plans.
It'll
That's
be
right.
huge.
So
hold on.
So what's been scraping at your doorbell?
All right,
Well,
so scraping at the door.
Oh, here we go. Thank God. I didn't want to have to reveal that to the general public.
You know,
The lawsuits are still pending.
you know what really scrapes my door?
What scrapes at your door, Dylan?
The characterization of Batfleck, and I have a plan to fix it.
Yeah, that is scraping at my door as well.
So basically, I've had this
What brought this on?
I've had this idea in my head for a little while of just basically where I want the solo Batman movie with Ben Affleck to go. Um,
The Batman, as it's gonna be
so
called.
I'm sort of going to give my pitch, and what made me want to talk about it specifically at this time is like recently the BVS Ultimate Cuts come out, and I haven't watched it yet. I'm waiting for the Blu-ray. But
I saw it. I saw it.
I've heard about all the changes that are made. I've heard that it makes the movie a lot more coherent, so that's good. I think it'll be the only way to watch this movie if you must. But
It's the only way the story makes any sense.
but another thing I've heard is that it is way more apparent, just like how much Batman is straight up killing people. Like apparently there's some more like blood and shit.
Yes. In the final warehouse scene, it's a lot more clear that all those guys are dead.
So here's the
I mean, they would be dead anyway because he blew up the fucking entire house at the end.
so here's the thing. I think universally, Ben Affleck's Batman has been everyone's favorite element of that movie. Like everybody's been like, if I can pick one element out of that movie that I fucking loved, it was Ben Affleck as Batman. But at the same time,
Is it the performance for you guys though, or is it the character?
it's the
Yeah.
performance. I mean, really.
And aesthetically, like he looks amazing.
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
and,
yeah.
and all of his trappings are cool. I would agree.
So here's my pitch for what I think the next Batman movie should be. I think it's pretty clear, based on what they hinted at in BVS, that this version of Batman went kind of psycho after the whole Jason Todd thing happened.
And after Superman, of course.
And I think, well, that too, but I think you really started to go down the rabbit hole after Jason Todd was murdered by the Joker, which obviously happened already in this continuity.
We don't know if it's actually Jason Todd, but A. Robin was killed.
Well, for the purposes of my pitch, it's Jason Todd.
Fair enough.
And I think this version of Batman might be like the way the Doctor is in Doctor Who. He needs somebody with him, or else he just goes insane.
That's what Tim Drake's original purpose was after Jason Todd died in the comics. Was
Precisely.
Batman got too dark and
Precisely,
and he felt he needed a Robin.
That's why I think we have the perfect opportunity here. I want the next Batman movie to be a redemption story. I want him to, at the end of the movie, be the Batman that we all know that he can be and hope that he will be. Because he had a little bit of a turnaround in BVS, but I don't think it's really enough to sell it. I think he needs a whole movie, a really personal story, to make him the Batman that he was always supposed to be. So here's what I propose.
It looks like Justice League is going to kind of touch on a bit of that, though.
Here's what I propose. You do the Red Hood in the solo Batman movie, because if Jason Todd dying is what caused Batman to go down the crazy, insane, shitty rabbit hole that he's gone down, then he needs to confront that demon. And what better way to have that happen than to have Jason Todd Red Hood in the next movie? You could even have some appearances. This is just because I've always wanted to see this. We could even have our first on-screen appearance of Nightwing, bring some Dick Grayson into the movie, maybe get a little Barbara Gordon in her wheelchair. But the important thing is the movie is about him facing up to his past with Jason Todd's. Now I don't know how they would explain the resurrection. That would be the only thing they would have to really write around. But have him.
I mean, you just toss Lazarus Pits in this universe. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
is this universe too realistic for that all of a sudden?
There's tons of ways they can do it. It's just this would be the one thing they would actually have to think about. But the whole movie, him facing up to his past, Jason Todd is the Red Hood psychologically fucking with him, and by the end of the movie, he gets Tim Drake, and he becomes the Batman that we all want him to be. So that's my idea. That's what I would like to see this next movie to be. So the topic is, I would like to know what you guys want to see from Batman moving forward.
I wanted to see the Red Hood thing too. The only thing is, it's been confirmed that it's not gonna be that. They talked about it recently. I think it's been confirmed that they're not doing that, because that's what everybody said. There was like a huge fan output for like, we want to see Red Hood, and the reasoning they gave for why they're not going to do it is because the story is too similar to Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't want to, and they're already really struggling with those Marvel comparisons, so they don't want to egg people on anymore. The only thing is, like, they're similar. No, they're completely different. Yeah, they're very different.
The Winter Soldier is brainwashed. Jason Todd legit goes crazy after what happened to him.
No, but the rough idea of a hero's old sidekick coming back to be a villain is the thing that they don't want to do again, because it was too similar to the Winter Soldier. But I don't even think it's that. It's the Winter Soldier. It's the Winter Soldier story. I think it's more the Winter Soldier's popularity. That movie is like the quintessential popular comic book movie right now, I think. Like, it was the Avengers for a while, and before that it was Nolan's Batman stuff. Now I think it's the Winter Soldier is kind of the top of the comic book, you know, kind of the cream of the comic book crop right now, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of considered like the best modern comic book movie.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to try to avoid a direct story comparison with that because I think the people are going to be pissed. But I'm with you. I think that is like the perfect place to take this Batman.
I think I can see where they're coming from with that argument, but at the same time, this Batman needs a redemption story.
He does, and you're right. It's the perfect one to do it.
He needs it bad.
You need a Batman who's just off killing.
I'm sorry, I can't buy him turning into the Batman he was always supposed to be just based on what happened in BVS. That is the most limp dick redemption story I've ever heard of.
It happens in well, and I mean, I think that it happens twofold. Rewatching the Ultimate Cut, it kind of occurred to me what his character arc actually is supposed to be. So the Martha thing is not really it. Like realizing that Superman and his mothers have the same name, you know, that's not really supposed to be the thing that sets him on the path to redemption. That's just kind of the initial catalyst for him not killing Superman and for putting their differences aside and understanding Superman's humanity, I guess, because I think what's more supposed to be his inspiration for being a better superhero and, you know, not killing anybody anymore is, you know, when Superman murdered somebody, because it seems to be Superman's death and Superman's defeating of Doomsday. That seems to be the thing that really changes Batman's tune on what it means to be a hero. And because it's after that he goes, you know, I failed him in life, I won't fail him in death. That's the line that kind of is supposed to tell us that Batman is on the better path. And also when he doesn't brand Lex Luthor, he punches the wall instead.
Yeah.
And we actually see that happen in the Ultimate Cut.
And that's great. But again, it's just the turnaround is way too quick. I think he needs...
Oh, by the way, Lex Luthor is in Arkham Asylum.
Is he?
Why?
Yeah. I remember. I heard that.
They dropped that into the Ultimate Cut as well. Batman mentions that he's taking him to Arkham.
Yeah.
Because he belongs there. He's fucking insane.
Everything I've heard about the Ultimate Cut just makes me like scratch my head at the decisions they made in the editing room. Like,
it's fucking insane.
Like they cut out all this relevant story information.
They cut out like the crucial elements of the conspiracy story.
And they were like, but you know what? We got to leave in the Jolly Rancher scene.
And that's what you like when Nicola, because I watched the Ultimate Cut with Nicola, and I watched the theatrical version with her too. And that was the scene that she responded to the most negatively, was just like, why is this here? Like, what is this doing? And one thing I noticed watching that cut as well, and David and I are planning on doing...
The only thing it really establishes is that Lex Luthor has no concept of boundaries.
It's weird, though, because, like, that scene is also... Like, that movie is edited like shit, because it's also, like, they do this weird time skip where you're in that scene with the Jolly Ranchers, and then they cut to Lex Luthor at the crashed ship, like in the future, and they cut back to him giving that guy the Jolly Rancher, and it's like... What's the point of it except that it's kind of it's supposed to be like a cool parallel edit, like it's sort of misleading, like it's just supposed to be like cool, but it's not actually like doesn't actually do anything for the story, you know what I mean?
My thing is, I want these DC movies to be good going forward.
Me too.
I want to be able to say, yeah, that newest Batman movie was the shit. Like, we had that for a while with Chris Nolan, and somewhere along the line, we just flew way off the rails.
I think Dark Knight Rises was kind of the beginning of it. Like, yeah, I mean, that movie's not bad at all. Like, I still think that movie's pretty good.
Yeah, I just rewatched that movie recently, and I still very much like that movie. It's just not nearly as good as the previous two in that.
Or no, you know what? I guess Green Lantern was sort of the thing that kicked it all off, because that was 2011, and that was their first attempt at a shared universe, too. They were going to try and start a cinematic universe with that after, and then Kickstarter with that. And then after Nolan's Batman was done, they were going to reboot Batman and put that in that universe.
Yeah. But even the Green Lantern movie, it failed for different reasons than what the movies right now are failing from. You know,
but I think that Batman v Superman was a response to Green Lantern doing poorly and Man of Steel underperforming. Man of Steel made money, but it didn't make as much as they wanted it to.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately why they decided to do Batman v Superman, was because they thought that they could kind of give a bit more of a pump up to this universe if they put Batman in it, and it worked a bit financially for the first weekend.
Yeah.
But but I don't know. I'm gonna take the Red Hood thing off the table for myself, just because it's been confirmed. At least I think so that they're not gonna do that. I would like to see the Tim Drake Robin introduced, but if they can't do Red Hood to do that with, I'd like to see Hush. Maybe that might be a direction they could go in.
Now, another thing they could possibly do to do a similar thing, and I don't like this idea nearly as much as the Red Hood thing. In fact, I kind of dislike it quite a bit. But it would be a similar way that you could have a redemption story revolving around him getting a new Robin. If they did Damian Wayne and did the whole finding out he has a son thing, and have that be part of his reason for like the turnaround.
Yeah, you could do that.
I
but
don't like that nearly as much though.
That's a lot of not that this would stop them. That's a lot of plot to introduce, though. Like you have to introduce Ra's al Ghul after him being dead. Like because the thing about that story is that Ra's al Ghul is dead in that instance.
Right.
So
now
you have to introduce this villain that people are kind of familiar with and say that he's dead. Like that's weird.
Now the one thing I would be really okay with it about the only way I would like immediately say yes to do Damian Wayne is if we got to have that army of man bats.
Man-Bat could be a villain that they could do. I'd be about that. It might be interesting to see a movie where Batman questions his humanity when he's fighting somebody who's also questioning their humanity.
Hmm.
You just have to make Man-Bat more of like a three-dimensional villain. Like you got to give him something to do.
I mean, there's tons of ways you can give Batman a redemption story, but I mean,
but the Red Hood idea was so good though that I think that Man-Bat might be an interesting way to like kind of supplant that while also doing something new with a villain that has always like been really cool to look at, but like his stories are very like kind of by the numbers. Like it's a monster on the run story that happens to have a guy who's like the reverse of Batman. You know what I mean? Like the literal reverse.
Yeah, now if we're talking things we'd like to see in future Batman movies besides just like the very next installment, obviously I already mentioned that I want a Batman Beyond movie at some point. And please make Bryan Cranston old Bruce Wayne. But other things, I mean, some of the more obscure villains that we never get.
We talking this universe though, or just DC stuff in general?
Either or, really. I mean, I guess this conversation started out talking about Batfleck. So, like, if he gets like a bunch of movies, where would you want to see it go? I want to get some obscure Batman villains that we don't really get in the movies. They did a little bit of that in the Nolanverse with like Scarecrow and shit. But give me again Man-Bat. Give me some Clayface.
How about Scarface?
Give me that.
You know who else they could do?
Some Black Mask.
You know what else? You know who else they could do in the first one that would also work with questioning Batman's humanity and rediscovering it? Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, they could do Mr. Freeze. I think there would be a stigma around doing Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, but that was so long ago. I mean, they gave Bane another shot, so
let's kick some ice.
I think that the time is now for a good Mr. Freeze.
They gave Bane another shot because Bane.
I do not want to see the Riddler.
Didn't even get
and
done.
I think they might do the Riddler.
If they got the right person to play the Riddler. Like imagine a Cumberbatch Riddler or a.
No, I don't want to see that.
Or somebody back in the day, people were throwing around David Tennant.
I don't want to see that either. Like that's too obvious to me. If anybody's gonna play the Riddler in terms of people who have been in British TV shows, I think Matt Smith would be the one to get. Matt Smith would be a great Riddler.
I don't know. His American accent's kind of.
You don't have to give him an American accent though. David Tennant's American accent is shit too. That's why they had him keep the British one when he played the Purple Man.
The Riddler is American, Bill.
Yeah, but so was the Purple Man, and they had David Tennant keep his accent for that because his American accent.
What if you got somebody that might not be like your first choice, but like might turn in a good performance? Like imagine Evan Peters as Riddler.
Who's he?
Quicksilver in Days of Future Past.
But at that point, I'm like, then you could cast anybody though. Like at that point, I'm like, just cast anybody at that point. What about Sam Rockwell? I think Sam. But you also got to.
Sam Rockwell doesn't strike me as the. I don't know. That would just bring back Iron Man 2 flashbacks.
Yeah, that's true. He's already Justin Hammer.
He was trying to play a very.
Oh, yeah, you say that's the thing. You got to find somebody who isn't in the MCU because their contracts both say they can't be in the other person's.
The way he was playing that part, it feels very Riddlery,
That's what made me think that. I think. Riddler. This should be easy, right? Like that's such an easy, over-the-top character to cast.
Who's the perfect person to play Riddler?
You gotta find a redhead too, presumably.
Jim Carrey.
Oh, he's not. Older guy too. Matt Damon. Yeah.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
All the answers to his
I,
riddles are Matt Damon.
you know what? After the role he played in The
Riddle me this,
Martian, I can kind
Batman.
of see that.
Matt Damon.
I can kind of see that though, because he's a bit of a sarcastic jokester in The Martian, so I can
Yeah,
kind of see
yeah.
that.
I finally got to see The Martian.
You like it?
Yes. I don't think I need to watch it again, but I mean, I liked it.
You know what? I like the movie fine. The book is a lot better. I don't ever have to rewatch the movie again though because the book is so
The
much
movie
better.
is a really interesting character study, but it's not the sort of thing I'd want to pop in just to like enjoy myself on like a Saturday afternoon. You know what I mean?
Oh no, I definitely feel that. But Andres, what do you want to see?
Let's see what
Yeah.
I want to see. I want to see one thing is like I noticed over the last couple of years, maybe over the last decade, we've seen this sort of thing where this type of mentality that Batman can do no wrong and that Batman is always right and that his way is the right way. I want to see someone I want to see a story that berates Batman, kind of like what do you call it? Knocks him
You
down a
mean
peg.
what this was supposed to be? What
Yeah.
Batman v
Yeah,
Superman
yeah.
was supposed to be?
Maybe
Exactly, yeah, but I never got that feeling from this movie. It's like
No, I
what
didn't
if you
either.
did a
It's kind of like a vague notion
I
dangling in the
know
dark.
you've got like Alfred berating him, but that never comes back into the movie.
For branding one time, and then it's never brought up again, and it's never brought up that he guns down several people.
Right,
what if you
right.
do a Two-Face movie, but this time you do it more like Two-Face was in TAS, where like him and Bruce Wayne were friends, and like Two-Face is being scarred as like a direct cause of like him fucking up and trying to
You
save
could
them.
definitely do that. Two Face is a great idea because there's a line in BVS where Bruce goes, "How many good guys? You know, how many 20 years in Gotham? How many good guys are left? We've seen what promises are worth. You know, how many people stayed that way?" I think that's a direct reference to Jason Todd and Harvey Dent
Like I wouldn't even need to.
because Harvey Dent is the better. Harvey Dent's the old school example of a friend of Bruce Wayne's who went to the dark side. Like,
Yeah,
you know, so that might be interesting.
I think you could definitely accomplish that with Two-Face. I wouldn't even need a Two-Face origin story. You could just like maybe you have him
No, that's what I'm saying. Just have that be a thing that happened a long time
maybe you
ago,
have him
and just
resurface.
jump into Two Face
Maybe you
now.
have him resurface, like maybe movie Batman like had thought Two Face was dead, and then he like
You could do the Dark Knight Returns thing where he gets plastic surgery and comes out of the hospital and he thinks that he's all better, but then it turns out that he's not. He's still crazy.
that could be interesting.
That could be really interesting. I mean,
At that point though, I think that they would have to get an amazing actor to pull that arc off correctly, and then you would run into the problem.
well, I mean, hopefully you do that already.
But then the problem with doing that is that's such a great Two-Face story that you run the risk of, especially when you put like a really good actor in that, you run the risk of Two-Face overshadowing Batman in that instance, which is a problem.
But you
Is a
could
problem
counteract
Batman
that.
movies have had.
Like, almost all of them, yeah, except for Begins, I think.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Yeah, and Rises is okay, I guess, at it.
And it's hard to do with Batman because he has like the greatest rogues gallery ever, but you have to make them interesting and him
That and
interesting.
it's but the thing is too, he's such like a stoic character, so like stone cold. It's kind of hard to give him a really like, it's kind of hard to change him. Like you want him to go through an arc, but it's like, well, what's his arc gonna be? Like, what is he gonna learn? Like, so part of the charm of Batman is that he's kind of very stoic in his ways and kind of unstoppable.
To the
So
point where they wind up doing crazy shit in the comics where they're like, what if Batman's a vampire?
yeah, but I think this version is not that way though. So I think you could very much so get away with giving him a really solid arc. I think he kind of needs that at this point, as we've talked
I just
about.
think Ben
But I think Two
Affleck.
Face.
I think Ben Affleck was so good in the role that I want to see him become the Batman that he should be.
I completely agree. But I think that I think that they were totally aware that that's what they were doing. I just don't think that they did enough with it. You know what I mean? In terms of a Batman who's fucked up in the head and then now is on the road to redemption. I just don't think they did enough with that concept. But Two Face would be good. I think that rediscovering Batman's humanity is a good person to is okay. Rediscovering Batman's humanity is a good story to have Two Face in because Bruce Wayne remembering the mistake he made with Harvey Dent and remembering his relationship with Harvey Dent and what happened to Harvey Dent. Somebody who crusaded for justice who went down the wrong path. I think that could be an interesting place to take Batman in that kind of context. You see what I mean?
Yeah, if you're not gonna do Jason Todd, then that would be my second recommendation. Either
Definitely.
way, I think it should end with him getting Tim Drake and becoming real Batman.
Yeah, no, definitely. But in fact, having it be Harvey Dent, although, you know what though?
Now that's
doing Red Hood, having the Red Hood mystery happen in a Batman movie, and having Tim Drake be introduced in that movie, it's too good to pass up. Save Tim Drake for the Red Hood movie, because a movie where he discovers the identity of the Red Hood before Bruce Wayne, I mean before Batman does, and then he discovers Batman's identity afterwards, could be really interesting.
because that's the whole reason that I introduced the idea of like giving Dick Grayson Nightwing a cameo. Aside from the fact that I've always wanted an on-screen Nightwing, and I thought it was going to happen. Like, well, I remember watching Batman. I remember watching The Dark Knight Rises and thinking this movie I would forgive every problem this movie has if at the end Joseph Gordon-Levitt became Nightwing, and they hint at it, but they don't do it, and I'm like, fuck.
No, well, I mean he becomes Batman at the end.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
just becomes another Batman. I'm like, well, you can't do Batman Begins in 2000, or I mean, Batman Beyond in 2012. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean it wasn't set in 2012 probably, because it was it was 8 years after the Dark Knight.
Yeah, but
So
it's like contemporary setting, and I'm like, oh,
yeah, it's
holy
like a
shit,
recent.
8 years after the Dark Knight, so it was set in 2016.
That was already kind of a Batman Beyond type of deal.
Yeah. Um,
But yeah, no, I'm about all that. But Andres, I feel like we kind of took your point and made our own. So is there anything else you want?
Let's see. Anything else?
Are there any Batman supporting characters who you
I
want to see who aren't villains?
there aren't
I
anything.
want to see Egghead.
Maybe.
Oh, I want to see Bullock. I want to see Bullock.
Oh yeah, definitely Bullock.
Yeah,
Maybe
the
Renee
guy who plays
Montoya.
him- the guy who plays
I
Bullock.
like to see Montoya.
It's sad because
Yeah.
the guy who plays Bullock in Gotham is really good. And I was like, why don't you put him in a movie instead?
No.
Um,
We don't have many Latina and Latino characters in the DC movies.
Yeah.
wasn't she in Dark
That would
Knight?
be nice.
Yes, she was, but for like it had like a very pitiful role in the entirety of it.
I don't think that was Montoya though. I think that was a character who was kind of supposed to be like a fill-in for Montoya. Because there's also that guy in Begins in Dark Knight who's kind of supposed to be Bullock, but he's not Bullock.
Wasn't
In fact-
Montoya in like at least Gotham Knight?
I don't maybe,
Like-
but
like
you know
she
what I'm
was
talking
transporting-
about, right?
Yeah.
There's this
the
guy.
fat guy who's like, swear to me.
No. That's Flass.
Okay. Forgot that was
He's from Batman Year One.
Okay,
But
yeah.
there's a guy in the Dark Knight who I remember. He's the guy who is in the interrogation room with the Joker, and the Joker is like, you know why I like knives? It's that guy.
Oh yeah, that guy.
He's a Bullock type.
He's very Bullocky. Yeah.
And then you've also got that girl who the Joker manipulates into doing something. She's clearly supposed to be Montoya.
Now, here's another specific thing that I want to see in a future Batman, or in the next Batman movie specifically, because I think you have to go there with what they did with him in BVS. That is what I want from Commissioner Gordon, because we know we're getting Commissioner Gordon, right?
We're getting J.K. Simmons Commissioner Gordon,
Yeah.
motherfucker. And apparently he's going to look exactly like he looked in the animated series.
There's only one way to do him right in a movie where BVS is the movie right before it. I want a Commissioner Gordon who's questioning the fact that he's gone along with Batman all this time, and now Batman has become what he's become.
Like a deconstruction
Yeah.
of Batman.
I want him to have I want him to have this huge moral crisis in the movie where he's like kept up at night by the fact that he is abetted Batman, and now Batman has become like worse than the criminals he brings in.
Right, yeah. Or just as bad,
Or just
yeah.
as bad. Now here's an interesting question. If they were to do the whole Batman Redemption via Tim Drake, who would you cast as Tim Drake?
Ooh. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. No.
It's too old. Maybe Joseph
yeah.
Gordon-Levitt from Angels in the Outfield.
Yeah, oh, that'd be perfect. See, you got to get somebody who's not too young, because Tim Drake was like 16, 17 when he became Robin.
There aren't a lot of them. Tom Holland. Oh, no,
Yeah, I was about to say, no, he
he's
doesn't
Spider-Man.
Look
Buttface.
like he doesn't look
But
like
he'd
Tim
be
Drake.
perfect.
Michael
Not
Cera. No.
Isn't that dude like fucking 30 at this point?
He doesn't
like
look
Jesse
it, though. He
Eisenberg.
looks like 5, so.
Jesse Eisenberg. No, wait.
Wait.
That'd be great.
Andrew Garfield? He ain't doing anything.
Yeah. Yeah, because Tim Drake also has a very distinctive look as well. You got to get somebody who matches that.
Yeah,
Black
you
hair.
need somebody kind of short, because it's always a big thing that he's kind of like younger than the other Robins were when they started.
No, Tim Drake was older than when Dick Grayson started.
Was he? He always looked younger.
No, I think he was. I think he was the oldest Robin.
Maybe.
I think he is the oldest Robin because Damian Wayans was 8 when he started.
Well, I wasn't thinking of Damian Wayne because that was after my time, but
But Jason Todd was young. Dick Grayson was
maybe
young.
it's
Yeah,
just
I think
because of the way they were drawn. But I always thought that.
maybe.
I
I think
Drake
he's the oldest.
I always thought Tim Drake was like super young. Plus, that's kind of the way it was portrayed in like the animated series.
I think you're thinking of the animated series,
Which is what I'm much more familiar with, and what I would actually want a movie based on.
No, fair enough. Yeah, that version they mixed Jason Todd and Tim Drake, so that's why that was like that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Tim Drake is supposed to be older though.
Well, fuck that. I want a young Tim Drake.
Okay, fine. If that's what you need.
I think you would just have to find like a really good unknown, actually, honestly.
I think so too. I can't think of anybody. What about the kid from Jurassic World, the older kid?
Too old, isn't he? Oh well, not for comic book Tim Drake apparently.
No.
I know he didn't wow me before, but then again, that could have been just because of the shitty
I
writing.
saw him in a better movie. He's also like, he doesn't really look like a superhero. I mean, he's not every superhero has to be like drop dead, like fucking.
Who's a child actor these days?
You don't even have to get a child actor. You get somebody who's like 21. That'd be fine, as long as they look young. You'd have Andres play Tim Drake.
What's Jonathan Lipnicki doing these days?
I mean, if people got upset, over the anytime they change a character's race or gender or character entirely in the comics, imagine what would they do if they casted a Mexican as Tim Drake?
I'd be like, yes. But only if it was you, though. If it was anybody else, I'd cry foul. But if it was you, I'd be like, fine.
Like,
Perfect.
It's like before Civil War came out, and all the people who were like, "We want it to be Miles Morales," and I was like, "I don't," just because I don't like skipping in the timeline. Like, if you gotta have a
if you're gonna do it later.
If you gotta have a legacy character, and I fucking hate legacy characters because they just complicate everything. But if you gotta have a legacy,
you hate the new black female Iron Man.
If you gotta have a legacy character and complicate your timeline and shit, at least start at the fucking beginning.
I love legacy heroes. That's one place where we're on the complete opposite side of the spectrum.
Oh, look at Batman.
He's a legacy hero now. He's got Dick Grayson's been Batman. John Paul Valley was Batman.
But have they ever been Batman forever?
No, but neither is Bruce Wayne.
Only George Clooney is Batman forever.
No, Val Kilmer was Batman forever. Dylan.
You're fucking right, shit.
I think somebody's. See, I feel like I'm more awake than you guys are now. That's so weird. Like I started out dead tired.
Jim Carrey just steals that movie, so I forgot it was Val Kilmer. Because really, who remembers Val Kilmer? Does anybody remember Val Kilmer? What was he?
He's my favorite Batman of those movies. I don't know if that's controversial.
Really?
I think it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Oh, not really. It's like everyone is like, a lot of people are like, Michael Keaton, best Batman. George Clooney, worst Batman. Nobody ever talks about Val Kilmer.
Everybody kind of agrees that he was better as Bruce Wayne, and I'm definitely on that.
That's fine.
But I like him better as Batman too. I think I don't, whatever. I don't care. That's just my opinion.
That's my position.
Right, chicks take the car.
That's my position. I think he's very forgettable whenever he's in the Batsuit, but actually playing Bruce Wayne, he does a pretty spot on job.
I can see that. I can totally see that.
He's like spot on it when he's Bruce Wayne, and I feel like
he didn't like the script of that movie too. Remember, so a lot of that movie is him going, "What the fuck am I saying?"
I feel like Michael Keaton had the opposite problem, where I love it when he's in the suit, but when he's Bruce Wayne, I'm like, "That's Bruce Wayne, really?"
He wanted to get nuts though, Dylan.
You want to get nuts? Come on, let's get.
Why didn't they get nuts?
I've seen The Exorcist 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every time I see it.
All right. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about in terms of the future of Batfleck?
Dr. Daka. Let's bring him back.
Yeah, about that. No, let's do him as the villain for the first solo Batman.
Let's have him played by George Takei.
Let's have him be the thing that makes Batman question his humanity.
I would say have him played by B.D. Wong, but B.D. Wong's already Dr. Hugo Strange in Gotham, so can't have him be too many Asian Batman villains.
Oh, by the way, I'm really glad I get to do a podcast where we talk about the future of Batman movies, and I don't have to say, "My God, can we please see a live-action Killer Croc already?" Because we're finally gonna see one in Suicide Squad.
I know, and he looks great. He looks perfect.
I'm so glad they didn't make up and not.
They didn't go with fucking crocodile head Killer Croc.
Oh, thank God they didn't do it like that.
Killer Croc.
They did it perfectly. They didn't do CGI.
They totally
They did
fucked
it.
up with the lizard from Spider-Man. He should have looked like a fucking lizard.
Oh. That's how I kind of wanted Killer Croc to look, minus the CGI.
Yeah.
He looks perfect in Suicide
I'm
Squad, though.
super stoked for Suicide Squad. I wish that
Now,
was the movie that was coming out next week.
You think Batman will have any significant role in Suicide Squad?
I think we've seen everything that he's in the trailers.
Which is just that one shot of him riding on the Joker's car.
No, we've seen more of him. He's been in more of the trailers since then. He dives into the water to get Harley Quinn at one point.
Another way you could do a Batman redemption story, and this is an idea that I like even less than the Damian Wayne one, but you could do it through a love interest, I guess. You could do like a Catwoman or a Vicky Vale. But that's the weakest of the three, I think.
I don't even think we need. I really don't want them to give Batman a love interest in this new movie because he doesn't need it. Like at this point, like he's so beyond that at this point. Like his character has grown so much.
The only way I would be okay with a love interest is if it was Andrea Beaumont.
Oh my God, the Phantasm is. You could do the Phantasm too.
Yeah,
that'd be a good villain, a good way to question Batman's humanity because she's kind of got a similar thing to Red Hood.
And
she's just like she is what Batman is right now in the DCU.
And it's totally
but she's much more revenge based though. He's a lot more just I'm going to kill you because I want to because I'm a psychopath.
It's totally plausible because Phantasm isn't just from that animated movie anymore. They brought him into comics and shit.
Where was she in the comics?
Didn't she appear in Andres? Where did Phantasm appear in the comics? Didn't they put her in like one of the Batman Beyond comics or something?
Maybe.
Yeah, but that's
oh yeah, they do. I see her. I just looked it up, and she's right
here.
Yeah,
she's canonical with that, but I mean that's in that animated universe anyway.
No, but the comics, which are supposed to be kind of sort of maybe in continuity with New 52 at the point.
Oh, are you talking about the current Batman Beyond?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah,
see,
the one where
okay. I haven't kept up with current in a long time.
Mark of the Phantasm.
Yeah.
Right. All right.
Apparently she was in that. I don't know. It's a great character. Bring him in. Have Bruce Timm write the movie. Hand the entire thing over to Bruce Timm.
Yes, definitely.
Hand the keys to Hollywood over to Bruce Timm and just let him take over.
I kind of want to read that comic though now because that looks really interesting.
Yeah, I want to know if it kept the Phantasm origin story that we had from the movie, or if they maybe it's somebody in the future taking up the mantle of the Phantasm. I don't know.
Well, if you remember Justice League Unlimited, the Phantasm was originally hired to kill Terry McGinnis's parents to make him Batman.
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
And she backed out at it's a great scene. It was so subtle too because they didn't even acknowledge it.
I like the art. I like the artwork.
Andrea Beaumont goes up to do it, and then she just stops, and then she breaks down crying, and she takes her mask off, and you can see that it's her. I loved that.
Who the hell would you cast as Andrea Beaumont? Who could do that in Hollywood right now?
Let's see.
What
about that? What was that? Who's the name of that woman? No. Well, someone with like a strong, commanding presence, and the only one I can think of is that woman. Well, she's much older, but maybe she could work for older Batman. But that
need
older
a good voice. You need somebody with like a Lauren Bacall voice.
What about that woman who was who played? Did any of you guys played or watch Wreck-It Ralph?
No.
I saw the first 10 minutes.
All right, so you didn't saw that woman character.
Are you talking about shit? She was in 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yes, her, and she was in Glee, I think.
Yeah. Fucking the big tall lesbian chick. She hosts.
Yeah, her.
Whoa, really?
Jane Lynch.
Jane Lynch, yes.
No.
First of all, I don't want to see Ben Affleck have a love scene with Jane Lynch.
No, definitely
that would be the worst thing since Mayday. Second of all.
No, it's not working for me. She doesn't have the gravitas for that, I don't think. Maybe it's a dick thing to say, but I don't think she just has...
I think she's a little too old.
Yeah, that's true, too. Yeah.
But then again, Batman's supposed to be old.
Yeah, not that old. I think she's in her late 50s.
Who can be seductive. We need fucking Charlize Theron. No,
but Andrea Beaumont was never really a seductive character, though.
Well, she was just like story with Bruce though, and she has to be able to act those scenes and seem like passionate.
Well, yeah, she has to be able to have chemistry with Ben Affleck, but you don't have to have her be seductive.
Who's had Ben Affleck? Who's had chemistry with Ben Affleck in the past?
Jennifer Garner. No. Oh, don't even, because that's.
Hey man, she can act. She was in Selena.
Hey, don't be fooled by the rocks that she's got. She's still Jenny from the Block. Used to have a little,
She
now
was,
she's got a lot.
she was in the movie enough.
But she never forgot where she came from.
I had enough of her. Oh.
What about 90s Halle Berry? Like Flintstones Halle Berry.
I think you get Halle Berry now, she might do okay. Yeah, but she was in Catwoman though, so no, I don't want that.
Yeah,
Fuck
sure.
that.
Nobody from that movie.
No. I'm gonna throw out one more name and then that's it.
Just go redheads right now. The only one that pops into my mind is Bryce Dallas Howard, and I don't think she has the
You know,
chops. Um,
she's too young too. You know who else? You know who would have been a
Or-
good fucking Andrea
or
Beaumont?
who's that?
Fucking Amy Adams.
Or who's that bitch that isn't Bryce Dallas Howard but looks just like her, and she was in The Martian and shit?
Oh. Fuck, what's her name?
She was in The Help with Bryce Dallas.
Ah,
Confusing.
Kate, what's her name?
Winslow.
No,
No,
it's not Blanchett either.
it's not Kate Winslet. It's not Kate Blanchett.
It's Kate B something. I'm gonna look. Where's the Martian? It's over here somewhere.
What about Katie Holmes?
Wait.
But Dylan, you know what? That's perfect.
Katie Holmes?
No, the whoever we're trying to figure out.
Oh, chick that isn't Bryce Dallas Howard but looks exactly
Yes.
like her.
Exactly, Kate B, as I'm gonna call her.
Wait. Who is the woman? Oh no, wait. Hold on. I'm trying to remember her name. Shit, I can't remember her name. Who was the name of the actress from Kill Bill? She played. I know who. Damn it. Fuck.
What about Natalie Portman? No.
Yes. No.
Uma Thurman.
She was Poison Ivy, bro.
Right,
Yeah.
but this could be her redemption.
She looks
I think
good
she's
with-
too old now.
Yeah. Uma
Too old?
Thurman can't even dance like Uma Thurman anymore.
She's probably in her late 50s.
Probably had a hip replacement by this point. She hit
I'm
her
trying to
peak
think.
right at Kill Bill.
I was trying to think. You don't need a redhead. We can get that off the table.
Always dyed their hair red.
Yeah.
Oh.
But that actress you said was perfect.
I would-
I'm gonna go with that.
I would go back to Natalie Portman only if she gets to have a lesbian sex scene with Mila Kunis.
Yep. It's the only reason I'll pay to see her in a theater ever again.
I just feel like I need more of that in my life.
Don't we all? I don't know, but Phantasm for the villain, definitely. I almost kind of want that more than Red Hood now.
You need to do Red Hood, Two-Face, or Phantasm. You need somebody from Batman's past because you need him to face his past in order to get a good redemption and at the end get a new Robin.
And also somebody who really likes to kill people.
Don't let me down.
More than Batman.
But, like, does it for a more fucked up reason than Batman, which is going to be hard. You're also going to have to address Batman's drinking and drug addiction, because that's a lot more clear in the Ultimate Cut.
I wonder if any of my ideas for what I want to see in the future will be altered by Suicide Squad at all.
Again, I don't think he's going to have a big enough role in that because I also don't think status quo.
I don't either, but I mean, you never know.
Yeah, you never. I mean, the more of it will be the Joker and Harley will be more of like their tangential connection to the Batman status quo will probably be more impactful.
Right.
But all right, we're pretty far into
seeing
this.
them have such a big role in that movie might give us a better idea of what the Batman universe or what this version of the Batman continuity looks like, as a whole.
I completely agree.
Also with Killer Croc and shit and Deadshot and how many villains in that movie are like Batman associated? Fucking
Katana. Well, Deadshot didn't. Oh no, Deadshot was a Batman villain originally, but Deadshot's more of a general DC universe villain.
Yeah.
Killer Croc's a Batman villain. Joker, obviously. Harley Quinn, obviously. Who did I just say? Katana? Katana's more of a general DC character, but she is traditionally more so a Batman character.
What pisses me off about the fact that they're going with Cyborg instead of Martian Manhunter in the Justice League. Now I'll never get my dream live-action Teen Titan movie that's exactly like the show and has Ron Perlman reprising his role as Slade.
See, none of the villains in Suicide Squad I can even remember, except for the ones that are Batman villains. Like El Diablo, I don't know what his deal is.
You know what DC needs to do? They need to take something super obscure that only people who are fans of them know, and then make the movie awesome, like Marvel did with Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's what this Suicide Squad movie is clearly trying to be, though.
But what if
I don't know if it can get there.
What if they did it with Doom Patrol? And then you could.
Oh, Doom Patrol's a DC thing?
Yeah, you got.
Yeah,
Beast
that's where
Boy
Beast Boy came from.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Beast Boy was originally in Doom Patrol. You get to have the
Sure.
brain in a jar and the gorilla henchman. It's great.
I'm about it.
You have the gorilla henchman played by Andy Serkis, and you could have the brain in the jar played by uh, fucking Bryan Cranston, and you. I was gonna say
Bryan
Stephen
Cranston
Hawking.
plays everyone.
I was gonna say Stephen Hawking, and then I forgot my joke. Um,
Steve Man Hawking. Word. Well, all right. Dylan, is there anything else you wanted to toss into your topic?
no,
Andres, you were pretty quiet.
I
Is
think
there
we're
anything
all pretty much on the same page. We want to see Batman become the Batman that he should be.
we want to see Batman become Batman again?
The
but
Batman,
not
the Batman, the Batman we deserve.
I want to see I don't want to see Batman Begins again. I want to see Batman Tries. I want to see Batman Tries. That's what I want to see.
They have an interesting
I want to
opportunity
see Batman
here.
return.
It's kind of
Batman gives it another go. That's what I
they
want
have
to
an
see.
interesting opportunity here because it's sort of a subversion on what you expect them to do with a superhero movie, where instead of doing an origin story where you see the character becoming Batman, we get to see him re-becoming Batman.
Reminding himself of what Batman means. Yeah,
Kinda
no, that's really interesting.
Batman
kind of like whatchamacallit, sort of like Nightfall Part 2 or Part 3.
Yeah, definitely. Night Send, I think is what that's called.
Yes, Night's End coming back, and he's like, "I'm Batman. I'm here to prove that I am and always will be Batman."
And not that weird giant robot John Paul Valley. What the fuck are you thinking, Batman?
Yeah.
give me some obscure villains that we've never seen in the movie. You know, maybe have Firefly in a scene. You know, give me some,
Yeah, I mean that's the thing too. We've got an established Batman universe. I'd like to just see some rogues in there. You know,
just,
like if we go
running
to
around.
Arkham, I'd like to see some people in there.
Like it doesn't even have to be a character in the movie. You could just have a random shot of like Batman stops a bank robbery, and the robber happens to be Firefly. You know, shit like that.
I'd also like to see a more comic book accurate Scarecrow too.
Yeah, that'd be good. You know, hell, give me Mad Hatter. Shit, fuck.
Oh, I'd love to see Mad Hatter.
Throw in some
Yeah,
Killer Moth. I don't give a fuck.
I'd love to see Killer Moth.
Have Martin Short play Mad Hatter.
Calendar Man would be cool.
Calendar Man, the Condiment King.
Love to see me some Condiment King.
The
All right,
Fizz
well,
Man or whatever his fucking name is.
we're really far in.
Big fat guy from that episode of the Batman who like runs a game.
Oh, the
show.
Clue Master.
Clue Master.
Yeah.
He just looks like a ripoff of Mojo from X-Men comics.
He was a ripoff of the Riddler, though.
Yeah.
He comes from the Adam West show, I think, and then they adapted him into the comics later.
I've got a thing here that has all the Adam West villains on it.
Oh well, never mind then. I'll take your word for it. But all right, guys, let's wrap this up.
What about some of these great villains? The Puzzler, Bookworm, Louis the
No.
Violent.
Oh, I would love to see.
No, man,
Bookworm.
we need the Condiment King.
I already made that joke.
Condiment
Oh, sorry,
King
fuck. I wasn't paying
Condiment
attention.
King. They made canon. They put him in Batgirl Year One, which is a thing.
You know what,
They put Condiment King in that.
Not even joking anymore. Legit. I want Max Zeus.
What's he gonna be doing though?
He's gonna be Max Zeus.
Because a lot of the time they play him up now as like
A joke.
not only a joke, but also he's like severely mentally ill and like to the point where if Batman punches him, it's gonna be like
Well, I
that
know that's
episode
gonna. I know that maybe there'll be some real life controversies here where it's like you can't make fun of this movie is making fun of the mentally ill, treating them like villains when they should really get help. How dare they do something like this?
I think Suicide Squad is treading on that already.
Well,
We'll see what
that
happens.
episode of Batman TAS where he's like at the top of that tower and he sees Batman ascend up and he thinks he's Hades and shit. Do that.
Yeah.
Do that. But in order to expand it into a whole movie, have Batman have to like fight his way up the skyscraper and have like different like Greek-inspired like traps and shit.
That'd be interesting. There's also that great moment in that episode
Directed by Del Toro.
where Maxi Zeus is brought into Arkham and he sees all the villains and he compares them to different Greek gods.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
That was great. But all right, guys, let's wrap this up then because we're really far in and I am exhausted and I need to get myself some sleep because in approximately 3 days, y'all motherfuckers are going to be flying into New York.
2 days, motherfucker.
2 days now. Oh
Let's
my
see.
God, I definitely.
It's Sunday for me, so Monday. It's 2 days for me.
It's technically 2 days for me too. I forgot it was Sunday already.
It's
So let me get
Sunday
some goddamn.
now over here on this side of the Pacific, it is also Sunday now. So
So I need to get some fucking sleep, because G Fest begins in 2 days. The road trip to
23.
The road trip to G Fest 23 begins in dos años years. Andres, what's
Diaz.
days? Diaz. I thought that was it, and I couldn't remember it. There you go. Dos Diaz.
You
It
must be
sounds weird.
truly desperate to come for me for Spanish help.
Not to be confused with Dios, which is God.
Right.
So the road trip to G Fest begins anew with this year. Same deal as always. We're gonna be doing lots of podcasts, lots of videos, lots of fun will be had by all, and we will of course be at the convention if you'd like to come up to us and remind us of how much you hate us, and how much we don't know what we're talking about.
And please
Then
be
we'll be
sure to check out Christopher Martinez's booth so you can check out his new Fire Beast comic, which I made an advanced review of.
If you'd like us to bore you for hours with all of our fan fiction ideas, please approach us.
and we'll tell you about how much we like to write, but then never actually do it.
If you'd like to find us, you will most likely see us talking to our friends over at the artist alleys, attending panels, or chatting with Jacob Baker, maybe in the what do you call it?
Or sitting in the
Dojo
in-house,
Studios.
or sitting in the in-house restaurant hoping that somebody buys us a meal. Uh,
Or me in the bathroom puking my brains out, which is probably where I'll be most of the trip, as always. So, until we see you guys on this road trip to G Fest, this year's road trip to G Fest 23,
Uh-huh.
that's pretty much going to do it for this week's podcast. Is there any other announcement that you guys wanted to make?
I
For me, it's pretty
do.
much just G Fest. Okay, go for it, Andres.
All right, so I have put out several videos in over the last month. For one being my the previously mentioned review for Fire Beast Dorogon X Garan, the horror from space.
I cannot wait to get my hands on that.
So there's that, and also I finally made a video, my collaborative video project with Andrew Battaglia, aka Blue Eyes, of my top 15 favorite giant robots in fiction. It's finally out. If you haven't seen it already, please do so. We both of us worked really hard on it, and I think it came out looking spectacular.
it did,
And
it did. I watched that one for a change, and I gotta say, Andres, from what I've seen, which isn't much, it may be your best work.
Thank you very much, Dylan. I appreciate that. I do just want to give a little heads up, though, that this is not meant to be a list of a be all end all. These are the greatest robots ever, but rather this is my own list of personal favorites. So if you don't have any, if you see if you're upset that a certain robot or two is not included on the list, I don't know what to tell you, man. It's just my personal favorite. It's like the image of Han Solo that Bill has right now as his Skype icon. That's all. That's all I can say. Just shrug my shoulders.
You should no. You should comment with anger and hatred and tell him how much of a bad person he is for not putting your favorite robot on there. Because Andres Perez did that to you personally. Think about it. He specifically was like, "I'm not gonna put your favorite giant robot on here because I want you to feel bad."
No robot from the intergalactic music video? Fail.
Definitely.
uh,
So be sure to do that as well.
And let's see. The other thing is that I do have my Rebirth of Mothra review coming up. It's almost it's I recently brought on Brayton Connor as my official editor for future scripted movie reviews. That guy is like a wizard with his editing know-how, and he even made a new intro video for my channel, and will continue to make new videos as we collaborate further. So expect to see my long-awaited review for Rebirth of Mothra in the near future as well. Anything else though?
It's like a rebirth of your Heisei reviews.
I guess so. Yeah. Uh, Other than that, those are all the projects I have. Definitely. For also be on the lookout for my upcoming review of season 1 of Voltron: Legendary Defender, which I will be recording at G Fest with Christopher Martinez and James Biggie, and also be also on the lookout for the. Depending on when Bill will be uploading this, I hope he'll upload this before G Fest so I can advertise
Definitely.
this.
I'm getting these up like right before you guys get here.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Be on the be also be check out the upcoming on Kaiju Noirs G Fest 23 live stream that I will be hosting, hopefully at not at G Fest, but during G Fest weekend on Saturday night, where hopefully all of us will just have a good old time answering questions and just being our usual goofy selves, but in front of a live audience for anyone interested.
And I won't have to host it, so I'll be very relieved about that.
And it's
'cause that
only going to
means I
be
could
it's only going to be
drink.
one computer that's going to be on live streaming. So it's just all of us with one computer instead of managing like 3 or 4 different computers with different Wi-Fi signals.
God, this sounds better and better the more we're talking about it.
It'll be great because it'll be like our swag videos from the last 2 G Fests. Where you'll get to see us just sit in a room, except it'll be live, and you can ask us personal questions, and I'll tell you to go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I'll tell you to mind your own damn bee's nest.
Oh shit, nigga.
I'll word it just like that, and people will probably not be that surprised. All right.
Bees and ass.
Anything else?
Nope, that'll be it for the time being.
All right. Well, of course, the Demons from Outer Space and the Sons of Serizawa podcast will be going to their season finales in their next episodes each. Those will both be recorded after we get back from G-Fest. We're going to leave the DFOS one as a surprise for when we actually do that. But for the SOS one, I figure we might as well just announce it, get people a little bit excited. We're going to basically be breaking that episode up into 2 halves. We'll probably have the first portion be about G-Fest. Like, I think this year we'll probably just have the retrospective podcast be like SOS, because might as well, right? Like, especially because David's probably not going to be there anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if he is, we'll probably just keep that portion shorter then.
We'll just make a bunch of in jokes, and he'll be very confused, and he'll say, "Hey."
Yeah.
That'll be good.
Exactly. So it won't be a big deal either way. And then the second half, I figure we can do some really hardcore speculation right before the release of Shin Gojira, and maybe also talk about the future of Toho's Godzilla movies as well. So we'll be doing a big Shin Gojira blowout as well.
Ooh.
So that'll be
You're
on the
not
next
gonna
episode
be
of
too
SOS.
popular after that one.
Probably not. We'll see what happens. I've got some things to say, and you may or may not agree with them, but that's the nature of the internet. And you'll probably shout at me in the comments about it, and I'll just be like, "Yup, that's the internet," and I'll be happy because you know that's the way things go. So
I just want everybody.
anyway, I gotta go the fuck to sleep. So until next time, everyone, I'm Bill Wurzler, aka Zazubaar.
I'm Super DM64, reminding everybody out there in the world to always kill Krillin.
And I am Andres Perez, aka Kaiju Noir.
And as always, kids, the science is sound. Your travel accommodations were not included, except on the way to G-Fest, motherfuckers. It's bought and paid for. Let's fucking go!
Woo! Always spay and neuter your pets.